A system alert floods a young man's room with red light. It warns that his system is overdue by 18 years and will shut down in 30 minutes. The youth, Chu Sheng, clutches his head and screams in frustration. He desperately wants the noise to stop, feeling completely overwhelmed. He remembers how he arrived here 18 years ago. He was incredibly lucky to have been transmigrated into this new and dangerous world. In this world, humans coexist with aberrations like demons and ghouls. The constant battle for survival has never ceased between the two sides. Having arrived with a system, he believed he was set for a perfect start. He was ready to stand tall and dominate this world, but he never expected to get a system with an overdue balance. It requires nether coins from clearing eerie domains just to be activated. Without an awakened talent, facing an aberration means certain death. He wonders how someone like him could possibly get nether coins. So for the last 18 years, he simply waited for a talent to awaken. His only hope was to clear domains to activate his system and become strong. Now, that system is about to expire in half an hour. He lies on his bed complaining about the frustrating design that has left him powerless. Suddenly, a citywide announcement interrupts his thoughts. A C-rank demon known as Granny Kai has infiltrated the city and is on Central Avenue. The alert explains that this demon is neutral and only attacks specific targets. Her method is to offer nether coins as bait to lure her prey. All residents are warned to stay inside and lock their doors. The Hancheng Exorcism Bureau assures everyone that they will handle the situation. Hearing that nether coins are being given away, Chu Sheng's eyes light up. A desperate idea begins to form in his mind. He sits up and considers the danger. A C-rank demon could easily kill him with a single slap, making the risk incredibly high. But he decides he has no choice. Without activating the system, he won't survive anyway. He makes his choice and runs out the door. The city street is shrouded in an eerie red mist under a crescent moon. A lone silhouette walks through the deserted avenue. The figure is Granny Kai, a demonic old woman carrying a basket of coins. She cackles, announcing that she is handing out nether coins. From a nearby alley, two members of the Exorcism Bureau watch her. One of them asks his chief how much longer they need to tail the demon. The chief explains to his team that demons are either brutal or neutral. While brutal ones hunt all humans, neutral ones only seek specific targets. He concludes that if Granny Kai cannot find a target, she will eventually leave the city on her own without causing any trouble. One subordinate recalls how Granny Kai killed thousands in Willow City last month. The chief dismisses the concern, confident the broadcast will keep everyone inside. Relaxing against the wall, the chief believes they can finally get a good night's sleep, certain no one will be foolish enough to go outside. But just then, one of his men spots something and urgently calls for his chief to look, pointing toward the street in disbelief. From their rooftop view, they see a lone figure sprinting down the empty street, heading directly for the demon. It's Chu Sheng, who runs with a determined smile, exclaiming that he has finally found her. The bureau chief is shocked by the youth's recklessness. He shouts for the boy to get out of there before it's too late. As Chu Sheng approaches, the demon holds out her basket, asking the young man if he would like some nether coins. Instead of accepting the offer, he snatches the entire basket from her hands, leaving the demon momentarily confused by his action. With the basket secured, he feels a thrilling rush of excitement as he turns to make his escape. The members of the Exorcism Bureau are left completely stunned. They can't believe what they just witnessed. Someone actually robbed Granny Kai. Even the demon herself is baffled. She wonders how a human could rob her when they are supposed to be afraid of demons. Her confusion quickly turns to pure rage. She declares this is the first time she's been robbed and vows to tear the thief limb from limb. Seeing her transform, the bureau chief realizes Granny Kai has become a brutal demon. He quickly orders his men to pursue them. The enraged demon chases Chu Sheng through the streets, screaming for the pretty boy to stop running. He glances back in shock, wondering how the old hag who was using a cane moments ago could suddenly be so fast. The monstrous demon looms over him, roaring that no one takes her money and gets away alive. The bureau members arrive, but it's too late to intervene. The chief remarks that he's never seen a kid bold enough to rob a demon. Trapped and with nowhere to run, Chu Sheng decides his only choice is to gamble. He holds up the basket to top up his system. As he pours the coins into the system, a brilliant blue aura of energy and light erupts around him. With his newfound power, he stands his ground, surrounded by a swirl of fire, ready to confront the massive, enraged demon. The system congratulates him on the successful top-up. His balance is now 3,500 nether coins, and the custom power-up shop is activated. Detecting that he is under attack, the system offers a one-time power-up for 1,200 coins, the demon-dispelling golden light incantation. With a confident smirk, Chu Sheng instantly decides to purchase the power-up without a second thought. He performs a series of quick hand signs, channeling the energy he has just acquired from the system. A colossal golden apparition of a monk materializes behind him, its hands held together in a prayer-like gesture. The golden figure summons a giant glowing hand covered in mystical symbols. The demon looks up in terror, wondering what this power is. The massive hand descends and slams down on the demon with overwhelming force, crushing her beneath its immense weight. As she's being obliterated, the demon screams that a true aberration can never be killed, her body dissolving into golden light. Chu Sheng stands over the defeated demon's remains, wiping his brow in relief. He marvels at how awesome his new system is. Suddenly, his phone buzzes in his pocket, startling him. He answers the call, and a friend on the other end reminds him that tomorrow is their awakening day. The friend urges him to give it his all. The friend stresses that they need to awaken good talents, or they'll be left behind. Chu Sheng dismisses his worries, telling him he knows. Walking away, he thinks about how confident he feels now that his system is active. He believes talents are nothing compared to his new power. Meanwhile, the chief of the Exorcism Bureau and his men rush toward the scene, wondering about the scream they heard from Granny K. They arrive to find the demon's defeated body lying on the ground. They are shocked to discover that Granny K was actually killed. The chief asks his subordinate if he got a clear look at the person responsible, but the subordinate says the figure was too far away to see clearly. Determined, the chief orders his men to find the mysterious expert, believing he could help them deal with an unsolvable witch aberration. The next day, a large crowd of students gathers in a massive hall for their awakening ceremony. A man on stage announces that today is the day they awaken their talents. Afterwards, they will head to the trial grounds outside the city. He explains that the eerie domain is incredibly dangerous. He hopes they will use their knowledge to bring honor to the academy and forge a future. Chu Sheng stands in the crowd with his friend Zhang Paigu. The friend admits he's nervous and asks if they'll die in the eerie domain. Chu Sheng playfully teases his companion, reminding him of his brave words on the phone last night. But Paigu is genuinely terrified. He shudders at the thought of the evil aberrations they will have to face. Chu Sheng reassures his friend, confidently guaranteeing that they've got this covered and will awaken elite talents. A voice from behind them scoffs at their confidence. Another student, Klei Ji, mockingly asks if two paupers like them are worthy of elite talents. Chu Sheng retorts, telling Klei Ji to mind his own business. The arrogant student continues to belittle them, saying that conquering demon domains requires connections and power, not just academy training. Chu Sheng reflects on their situation. He and Peigu are indeed the poorest students, one an orphan, and the other from a fallen family. Klei Ji gives them an ultimatum: drop out of the awakening trial now, or risk being killed in the eerie domain without even knowing what hit them. Chu Sheng calmly tells him that what happens to them is none of his concern. Annoyed by their defiance, Klei Ji says he doesn't want losers dragging down the academy's reputation. He decides to give them a taste of true terror. He reveals a skeletal hand artifact, summoning two purple spectral entities that loom menacingly behind him. The spectral creatures lunge forward, terrifying Peigu, who screams for them to stay away as he stumbles backward. The two apparitions attack with vicious intent, their forms crackling with dark energy as they descend upon the frightened student. Klei Ji notices that Chu Sheng remains unfazed. He's surprised that the young man isn't scared at all. Chu Sheng calmly observes the purple apparitions, thinking that their aura is nothing compared to the C-rank demon he faced last night. The other students are in awe of KG's eerie artifact. They realize he must have powerful connections to obtain such a precious item. With a smug grin, KG decides to teach the two paupers a lesson about their place in the world. Just as he is about to escalate the confrontation, a commotion in the crowd distracts everyone. A girl named Jing Zi has arrived. A student mentions that she has been absent for a month for special. The newly arrived girl, Jing Zi, walks forward with a confident stride. She directly calls out to Chu Sheng, telling him to come over. This isn't their first interaction. She had previously asked him if he had considered her offer to become her slave. He flatly refuses. He thinks the girl is strange, as she has asked him to be her slave multiple times since he enrolled in the academy. She repeats her offer, explaining that if he becomes her slave, she will help him awaken a powerful talent during this important trial. The girl adds that bullies like Saiji would no longer dare to bother him. He seems to agree with that part of her reasoning. Seeing his reaction, she looks pleased and asks if he has finally decided to accept her proposal. But he clarifies his stance, confidently stating that he can awaken a powerful talent on his own and doesn't need her help. Annoyed by his rejection, she calls him a stubborn fool and warns him that he will regret his decision. At that moment, Xi steps in, warning Chu Sheng that daring to get close to the girl he is pursuing is a death wish. An instructor orders all students to board the bus for their awakening trial outside the city. They are warned to remain calm, as handlers will accompany them. On the bus, Pai Gyu is excited to finally see the legendary aberration handlers. He explains that becoming one is extremely difficult. The buses travel through the city and arrive at a massive, heavily fortified gate, the only exit to the outside world. Armed guards in tactical gear stop the vehicles, announcing that no one is allowed to enter or exit the city gate without proper authorization. The bus driver leans out the window, showing his credentials. He explains they are academy students heading for an awakening trial and requests passage. After a quick confirmation, the guard radios his team, confirming the students and teachers from Hancheng Academy are cleared to pass. Another guard approaches a control panel and begins inputting a code, preparing to open the massive gate. The gate begins to glow with green, circuit-like patterns as it opens. A student on the bus wonders why the main gate is glowing. Another student explains the gate is inscribed with formations to stop aberrations. The entire city wall is also built with materials that repel them. As the buses drive into the desolate outskirts, the students discuss the wall's limitations. It can only stop ordinary aberrations, not powerful individual demons. Pai Gyu admits he's old enough but has never left the city before. He's heard the outskirts are teeming with all sorts of aberrations. Suddenly, a student points out the window, asking everyone to look at the sky. They wonder why there are so many balloons floating around. The objects are not ordinary balloons. They are pale, floating heads with eerie human-like faces drifting alongside the bus. Pai Gyu presses his face to the glass, finding it strange. He wonders where the balloons could have come from since there are no people outside the city. Chu Sheng also looks out the window, his gaze fixing on one of the floating heads as it drifts closer to their bus. The balloon head suddenly turns, its eyes glowing a menacing red as a wide, terrifying grin spreads across its face. Pai Gyu lets out a scream of pure terror, stumbling back from the window as the horrifying image registers. Panic erupts throughout the bus. Other students begin screaming, some clutching their eyes in pain as they ask what that thing was. A figure wrapped in bandages walks down the aisle, ordering all students to remain calm and not to look out the window. The handler explains that the balloons are transformed aberrations. He assures them that as long as they do not look at them, they will not be harmed. The students are still terrified, wondering who this strange bandaged person is. One student nervously. The bandaged figure introduces himself as the aberration handler in charge of their awakening trial. The students are shocked, as this isn't what they imagined a handler would look like. One student guesses he must be an aberration servant. The handler mentions that the eerie head balloons have been around for years, suggesting they are powerful aberrations. He then turns his attention to one particular student, pointing directly at him and asking for his name. The handler's finger is aimed at Chu Sheng, singling him out from the rest of the panicked students on the bus. Confused, he points to himself before answering that his name is Chu Sheng. The handler praises him for remaining calm when he saw the balloon aberrations and says he looks forward to his performance later. The other students are surprised that the handler praised him. Some speculate he was just scared stiff, while others mock him. Chu Sheng realizes the handler is right. He has remained calmer than most when facing aberrations like Granny Kai and the eerie balloons. Pai Gyu grabs his friend, panicking and asking if he's crazy for continuing to look out the window. The young man concludes that his mental strength is greater than others because he is a transmigrator. This is his biggest advantage. The buses finally arrive at the awakening site. The students disembark and immediately feel a chilling aura, realizing this won't be easy. An instructor announces their location, the Sunset Glow Nursing Home, which became an eerie domain 50 years ago. He gives them one last chance to back out. As if on cue, a student points to a window where a ghostly figure with long black hair is watching them. The figure's face is obscured by hair, but numerous glowing red eyes suddenly appear in the darkness around her, staring down at the students. The students are terrified by the sight. One remarks that these aberrations must be at the fierce level to dare appear with a handler present. Seeing that no one is backing out, the instructor announces the beginning of the awakening trial and wishes them luck. Despite the incredible danger, not a single student backs out, knowing that becoming an aberration handler is everything in this world. The handler floats above them, reminding them of the rules. He warns them to beware of human hearts, which can be more terrifying than aberrations. As they walk towards the eerie nursing home, Chu Sheng tells his friend Paigu to stick close to him. The students enter the dilapidated lobby of the Sunset Glow nursing home, the air thick with an eerie silence. A disembodied voice announces the main quest: survive for 3 days as a hospital staff member with side quests assigned randomly. One student comments on the randomness of the side quests. Another adds that completing more quests is key to awakening a stronger talent. The unpredictable nature of the quests worries them, as it means they cannot prepare for what lies ahead. As the others worry, Chu Sheng's system activates, detecting that he has entered an eerie domain and opening the custom power-up shop. The system displays 3 power-ups he can afford with his remaining 2,000 nether coins, 2 known options and a mysterious third. He considers his choices, realizing that with his current balance, he can only afford one of the 3 available power-ups. The Golden Light Incantation is a one-time use item, which is not ideal for an eerie domain. This leaves him to choose between the other 2. He dismisses universal prompts as too expensive at 2,000 coins per minute, turning his attention to the Born Rebel power-up. A description appears for Born Rebel. For 2,000 coins, he can gain random rewards for making rebellious choices within the domain for 1 day. He finds the power-up interesting, as it rewards him based on his actions. Though the rewards are random, he decides it's the best option. Without hesitation, he taps the screen and purchases the Born Rebel power-up, committing all his remaining coins. A surge of blue energy flows into him as the purchase is finalized, the power-up now active. Before the power-up fades, he decides to check the other options in the shop, curious about what else is available. He scrolls to an incredibly expensive item, Summon Death God, costing a staggering 20 million nether coins. He's amazed that he can buy a death god but is daunted by the price. He realizes he'll need to save up a lot more coins in the future. A seductive voice welcomes them to Sunset Hospital. A woman in a blood-splattered nurse's uniform appears, introducing herself as the head nurse. Some students are immediately captivated by her appearance. One even jokes about wanting to be with a ghost, earning a rebuke from his peer. The head nurse walks down the hallway, commenting on how all the new caregivers are such pretty boys. She licks her lips, her eyes filled with a predatory hunger as she remarks on how fresh and tender they look. Peigu is completely captivated by the nurse. He tells Chu Sheng that if all freaks are like her, he thinks he can handle it. The head nurse lets out a sinister laugh, her body surrounded by a dark, crackling aura that hints at her true nature. Her face suddenly contorts into a monstrous visage. With a frighteningly wide mouth filled with sharp teeth, she tells them they don't understand the situation. The students recoil in horror at her true form. One falls to the ground while another asks if it's too late to retreat and go home. Peigu clutches his face, screaming in terror. He thinks they're lost if the beginning is already so terrifying. The monstrous nurse silences their panicked screams with a single command. She announces that she will now assign them to their stations. The students immediately fall silent, covering their eyes and mouths in absolute fear, too intimidated to make a sound. She licks her sharp teeth, commenting that if it weren't for the rules, she would happily eat them all. With a sinister grin, the nurse points, and instantly, ID badges materialize on everyone's chests. Chu Sheng and Paigu are startled as the badges appear out of thin air, fastening themselves to their clothes. The other students are equally confused, wondering what these badges are for. One student points out that everyone has received one, concluding they must be some kind of ID badge. The head nurse confirms their suspicion. She explains the badges indicate their jobs and warns them to perform their duties well. The students check their badges. Some are assigned as caregivers, while another is confused about being a chef. Paigu tells his friend he is a pharmacist and asks about his assignment. Another student points at Chu Sheng's badge in confusion, asking why his job title is blank. He loudly questions why there's no job title, wondering if Chu Sheng wasn't assigned a job at all. The other students look on in shock, trying to process this unusual turn of events. The head nurse smiles, explaining that a blank badge means he has no work to do today. She comments on his good luck. The other students are furious, complaining about the unfairness of the situation and how he is wasting such good luck. But with a smirk, he rips the badge off his chest, stating he doesn't need such a meaningless life. He throws the badge to the ground, dramatically questioning why he has to rest while everyone else works, acting as if he is offended. With a fist clenched in mock determination, he declares that he will work, rejecting his day off. His outburst leaves everyone, including the head nurse, completely speechless and confused. His system alerts him that he has made a rebellious choice, granting him 3 instances of immunity to aberration attacks. He realizes he picked the right power-up, This immunity is an invincible skill in such a dangerous place. The other students are enraged by his showboating. One is so infuriated that he wants to fight him one-on-one. The head nurse, however, is intrigued. She approaches him, noting that he actually violated the rules. Seeing his defiance as a breach of the rules, the nurse declares she can now eat him and lunges forward with her massive tongue. The other students think he is done for, believing his smug attitude has earned him his fate. But just as the tongue is about to strike, Chu Sheng calmly reaches out and grabs it with his bare hand. He smirks, calling her a smooth talker. The system confirms he has used one immunity charge, with 2 remaining. The head nurse is stunned, unable to comprehend how he managed to stop her attack so easily. The rest of the students are equally shocked, wondering what is happening and how he could block an aberration's attack. He simply lets go of her tongue, wondering why they are so surprised when he is just an ordinary person without any awakened talent. Seemingly unfazed, the nurse concedes. She assigns him the role of a caregiver and orders him to tend to the patient on the top floor. With a sinister grin, she adds that this particular patient will not let someone die so easily. The other students are baffled by the sudden turn of events, wondering since when aberrations became so easy to talk to. One student rallies the others, reminding them they only have 3 days to complete their mission and they shouldn't waste time. Chu Sheng turns to his friend, suggesting they go check out the pharmacy since Pai Gu is a pharmacist. As they begin to walk away, a group of students blocks their path, stopping them in the hallway. One of them demands to know how he blocked the nurse's attack and if he brought a special item to deal with aberrations. He looks at them with a defiant glare, asking why he should tell them anything. The student grabs him by the collar, threatening to kill him right there if he doesn't hand over the item. Pai Gu tries to intervene, but his friend stops him. He explains that he doesn't have any items. He calmly clarifies that the aberration didn't attack him, because the earlier prompt only mentioned satisfying patient's requests, and the nurse isn't a patient. The student scoffs, calling him a poor bastard and saying he knew all along that he didn't have any items. With a smug look, the student signals to his 2 companions, their intentions clearly hostile. One of the goons calls out to the nurse, declaring that his big bro doesn't want to work and demands she arrange for him to rest. Before he can finish, the nurse's tongue shoots out, piercing straight through the student's chest. She retracts her tongue, leaving a gaping hole as the student gasps in pain and collapses. His body hits the floor, now a lifeless husk. The other students, including the leader of the group, are left in shock. With a wicked smile, the nurse asks if anyone else wants to rest, daring them to defy her again. The other students are terrified, with one commenting that Wang or Mazi was sucked dry into a human skin. They quickly disperse, not wanting to look. The nurse then addresses the remaining students, ordering them to find their workstations and warning them of a horrible death if they fail their tasks. The bully who had threatened Chu Sheng earlier now points at him, furious that he dared to lie. He stands over his fallen companion, but Chu Sheng simply glances back at him with a look of disdain and calls him an idiot. Pai Gu pulls his friend away from the confrontation, urging him to come to the pharmacy before the patient he needs to care for gets impatient. Chu Sheng tells him it's fine and says he is going to the operating room first to get some gear. They enter the room, both shocked by what they find inside. The operating room is a gruesome sight, more like a slaughterhouse, with dissected bodies and a severed head on a table. Pai Gu is horrified, wondering how a pharmacist is supposed to work in such a nightmarish environment. Chu Sheng scolds him, reminding him they are in an eerie domain, not a comfortable office. He picks up a pair of surgical scissors from the table and pokes the severed head, testing for a reaction. Seeing no response, he concludes that the tools are just ordinary surgical instruments. Pai Gu panics, reminding his friend of the Academy's teachings not to touch things casually in an eerie domain, as they could be dangerous artifacts. Ignoring his friend's warnings, he continues to inspect the tools on the table, finding nothing out of the ordinary. Just as he is about to give up, his hand hovers over a small metallic hammer, which begins to glow with a faint red aura. As he touches the hammer, a ghostly red skull lunges out, its eyes glowing with malice as it attempts a psychic attack. He remains completely unfazed as the psychic assault dissipates around him. The system announces he has used another immunity charge, with 1 left. A notification then congratulates him for obtaining an eerie artifact, the blood-stained hammer. He grins, pleased that his hunch was correct. With his new prize in hand, he tells his friend that it's time to go check on the medicine. They arrive at a locked medicine cabinet. Pai Gu points out that they will need a key to open it. Chu Sheng reassures him, certain that as a pharmacist, Pai Gu will be able to get the key. He then asks his friend to get him some medicine later. He then walks off down the dark hallway, telling his worried friend to stay safe while he goes to check on the patient on the top floor. As he walks, he hears a cry of pain from one of the nearby rooms and notices the discarded ID badge of the student who was assigned as a chef. In the room, the student is kneeling in pain, clutching his hand. A vicious-looking patient sits before him, clearly the one who inflicted the injury. Chu Sheng peeks into the room from the doorway, observing the scene unfold. The demonic patient sadistically threatens to cut off 2 of the student's fingers next time he disobeys. The terrified student quickly promises to obey, not daring to defy the patient again. Chu Sheng walks away from the scene with a smirk, noting how truly vicious the patients are in this place. He arrives at a door labeled 404, the room where his assigned patient resides. He stands before the door, steeling himself for whatever horrors lie within, knowing the patient he needs to care for is inside. He opens the door to find an old man on crutches, who looks up and asks the young man for a hand. He observes the old man, noting his crutches and apparent difficulty moving. He cautiously steps into the room. Outside the nursing home, the dean and the aberration handler stand watch. The dean worries, hoping the kids make it out of their first trial safely. Their watch is interrupted by a woman and a cameraman. She introduces herself as Tan Wei, a reporter from the Exorcism Bureau. The reporter explains she wants to film outstanding students to create role models and boost humanity's confidence in the fight against aberrations. Dean Zhang Wen proudly tells her she has come to the right place, boasting that his academy has plenty of exceptional students. He specifically names Jing Ziyi and Cai Ji as top-notch talents, certain they will awaken powerful abilities during the trial. The reporter becomes excited and asks the dean to immediately show them the trial footage of Jing Ziyi and Cai Ji. But before he can, the aberration handler unexpectedly speaks up, mentioning only one name, Chu Sheng. The reporter is confused by the sudden interjection and asks the handler to clarify what he just said. The handler suggests they watch Chu Sheng's trial instead, praising the boy as a talented student he is looking forward to observing. Trusting the handler's judgment, the reporter agrees to his suggestion. She decides they will broadcast Chu Sheng's entire trial live. The dean pulls out an artifact, a recording demon bone, to project a live feed from inside the eerie domain. The footage shows the scene inside room 404, where Chu Sheng is standing calmly before the old patient on crutches. As the dean holds up the screen, the group watches the live feed, focusing on the 2 figures inside the room. Dean Zhang is shocked, questioning why the student walked right up to an aberration, which violates the #1 safety rule. The reporter also voices her concern, thinking the student is reckless. She questions the handler's assessment of his talent. Inside the room, the old man thanks the youth for his kindness and asks for help getting out so he can find his wife. Suddenly, the patient's eyes glow red as he reveals his sinister intent. He declares that the boy is now trapped and must be shared. Without showing any fear, Chu Sheng reaches out and firmly grips one of the old man's crutches. He then swiftly snatches the crutch away from the aberration, sarcastically telling him he's welcome. Now armed and ready, Chu Sheng poses his first question to the bewildered patient. How many times did he blink today? The old man is completely baffled by the nonsensical question, unable to form a response. Without waiting for an answer, Chu Sheng lifts the blood-stained hammer and yells 80 as he brings it down hard on the patient's head. He strikes the aberration with a powerful blow, sending it stumbling backward. The patient's face contorts in rage. He transforms into a monstrous green creature and furiously asks if this is the 80 he was talking about. Chu Sheng ignores the question and yells 80 again as he swings the hammer with all his might. He lands another solid hit, sending the aberration reeling from the impact. The creature stumbles to the ground, furious that he is being attacked. It demands its cane back, revealing its weakness. Chu Sheng brings the hammer down once more, shouting 80 as he strikes the final blow. He continues to pummel the aberration relentlessly, shouting 80 with each strike. Outside, the dean and the reporter watch in disbelief. They can't believe a new student is already pummeling an aberration so fearlessly. The handler explains that Chu Sheng must have realized the aberration's reliance on its canes, which is why he is so confident. The reporter is impressed, noting that he also managed to get an eerie artifact right at the start of the trial. Back in the room, Chu Sheng stands over the defeated aberration's body, which is slowly dissipating into blue light. He watches the body disappear, wondering if the creature is finally dead. Suddenly, a glowing blue spirit emerges from the defeated body, hovering in the air before him. The spirit of the old man thanks the young man for killing him and freeing him from the aberration that had enslaved him. Intrigued by this new development, Chu Sheng asks the spirit to tell him his story. The spirit explains he was a clan soldier who came to the nursing home to recuperate from an injury, only to be trapped when it became an eerie domain. Before he fades away, the spirit asks the young man to fulfill his final wish, to give his belongings to his old wife. At that moment, a new side quest is issued to Chu Sheng. Fulfill the last wish of the patient in room 404. Watching the live feed, the reporter is shocked that Chu Sheng triggered a side quest so quickly. The dean notes that while quests bring rewards, they also carry great danger. He believes it is too soon to accept such a quest. The trial has only just begun, and there is no need to rush into unnecessary risks. The dean elaborates that side quests are often perilous and can cause chain reactions, so maintaining stability is the most important strategy. Back inside the eerie room, the young man accepts the spirit's final wish. The grateful ghost calls him a truly good person. The spirit explains that the gift for his wife is a box of candy, hidden inside a nearby filing cabinet drawer. Chu Sheng follows the instruction and opens the drawer, easily finding the box exactly where the spirit said it would be. A notification confirms he has obtained the patient's belongings, a box of candy and a grenade kept as a memento from his soldier days. The spirit then asks him to deliver the items to his wife, who is waiting in room 204 on the floor below. As he fades away, the spirit whispers that he is sure his old woman will like this living gift. The group watching outside grows worried. The dean laments that Chu Sheng is too bold, and he fears their filming is about to end tragically. He walks down the dark hallway carrying the box, counting the room numbers. A pale, ghostly hand suddenly appears from a dark doorway. A gruesome, long-haired ghost with glowing red eyes drops down from the ceiling, hanging upside down right in his path. Completely unfazed, he simply pushes the ghost's head to the side, telling it not to interfere with his important business. He continues down the hall and finally stops in front of room 204, confirming that this is the correct location. With a smirk, he holds up the box in one hand and dangles a grenade pin in the other as he announces a special delivery. The door creaks open, revealing a grotesque old woman with green skin and glowing red eyes. She questions who would be making deliveries here. He holds the box out to her, politely asking her to sign for the delivery while a swarm of buzzing flies surrounds his head. The old woman immediately recognizes the box. She realizes her husband was the one who sent this young man to her. Her eyes glow with a menacing light as her expression turns predatory. She tells him he has arrived at just the right time, as she was getting hungry. Watching the live broadcast, the reporter is shocked to learn that Chu Sheng has triggered a side quest. The dean notes that while such quests bring rewards, they also carry great dangers. He believes it is too early to accept such a quest. The test has just begun, and there is no need to take unnecessary risks. She eagerly opens the box, but her expression turns to shock when she finds not candy, but a live grenade inside. In a fit of rage, she throws the grenade aside and lunges at the young man, furious at his trickery. As he calmly walks away from the room, he reminds her one last time about the good review. An explosion rocks the hallway, blowing the door off its hinges as he stands safely outside. The grenade detonates with a powerful blast, sending a wave of fire and shrapnel through the small room. Chu Sheng observes the aftermath, knowing that firearms are usually ineffective against the eerie domain itself. He is pleasantly surprised to see the old woman aberration crippled on the floor, heavily wounded by the explosion. The group watching the live feed is stunned. The reporter wonders how he managed to get a grenade while on a side quest. The dean is thoroughly impressed, calling the display of physical exorcism brilliant. He notes the eerie domain seems to be inoperable after the blast. The handler explains that Chu Sheng got the grenade from the previous patient. He adds that most people wouldn't dare use firearms in a domain. He clarifies that while firearms usually only enrage aberrations, they can still inflict a certain amount of damage. He is impressed by the boy's cleverness. The reporter admits she initially thought he was just a reckless hothead, but now she sees he is thinking on a much higher level. The wounded aberration crawls on the floor, questioning his humanity for using a grenade. He coldly retorts that if he were a monster, he would never let her go. He confidently adds that he simply will not let her become an aberration, his expression hardening. He then reveals the blood-stained hammer, causing the crippled creature to recognize it as an eerie artifact and plead for him to stay away. He approaches her and calmly tells her to bear with it for a moment. He then begins dragging her away by the leg as another ghost flees in terror. He glances over his shoulder at the fleeing ghost, giving it a menacing look that makes it stop in its tracks. The ghost screams, "Mommy," and runs away, completely terrified of the human who is even scarier than the aberrations. The dean and his staff are dumbfounded. He has never seen a student so outrageous that he could scare off all the aberrations in a trial. The reporter notes that since he has now killed 2 aberrations, his score will skyrocket, and he will likely awaken a strong ability if he survives. However, the aberration handler interjects, pointing out that Chu Sheng did not actually kill the second aberration. Back inside, the crippled old woman pleads for her life as the young man drags her through the hallway, telling her he means no harm. He smirks, reminding her that he is her caregiver now and has no intention of leaving her side. The aberration screams in protest, insisting she does not want him as a caregiver and just wants to be left alone. He silences her with a sharp command, holding a strange artillery shell-like object over her head. His system chimes in, confirming he has made another rebellious choice by becoming a caregiver to a patient who doesn't want one. He receives a special balm as a reward. The old woman pleads with him, saying she is badly injured and no longer a threat. She just wants to be let go. He feigns concern, telling her he can't feel at ease with her injured. He insists on taking her to the pharmacist for treatment. She continues to resist, screaming that she isn't going anywhere and just wants to return to her room. He once again tells her to shut up, brandishing the shell-like object menacingly. The other ghosts in the hallway watch in terror as he drags the unwilling patient, completely horrified by his actions. Elsewhere in the hospital, Pai Gu is huddled in a corner, praying for protection and a safe passage through the next 3 days. A hand suddenly lands on his shoulder, startling him. He jumps in fright, screaming and asking who is there. He turns to see it's just his friend. He breathes a sigh of relief, admitting he thought it was an aberration. Chu Sheng grins and tells him he brought an aberration with him, gesturing to the crippled old woman he's dragging. Pai Gu is left speechless, staring in disbelief at the creature his friend has brought to him. He backs away nervously, asking what his friend is doing bringing an aberration into the pharmacy. He tries to calm his friend down, calling the aberration a little old cutie and telling her to smile. The old woman glares at him, muttering that even aberrations have dignity and warning him not to go too far. She tries to resist, but her weakened body is no match for him. He easily overpowers her, stepping on her head and pinning her to the ground with one foot. Pai Gu looks up at a nearby sign, which states that anyone needing medicine from the cabinet must get the key from the head nurse. He excitedly tells his friend that he's found a clue. The key to the medicine cabinet is with the head nurse. He orders the crippled aberration to take them to the head nurse. The old woman vehemently refuses, shaking her head in fear. He lifts the hammer with a sinister grin as the aberration explains that the head nurse is the manager and can even kill other aberrations. He brings the hammer down and the creature quickly surrenders, agreeing to take them. She sneers at him, saying he's looking to die. She thinks that if he dies, she will finally be free. He asks who the most powerful aberration is if it is not the head nurse. The old woman reveals that the head chef is the most brutal and powerful aberration in the hospital, and everyone must show him the utmost respect. The reporter is still confused by his actions, unable to comprehend his strategy. The dean agrees, noting that students usually lay low during their first trial, but this one is actively causing trouble. In the kitchen, a massive pig-headed aberration, the head chef, scolds a student for being too slow. The terrified student, carrying a large stack of plates, stumbles and drops one. The head chef turns, his eyes glowing with anger. The student quickly apologizes and offers to clean up his mess. The chef declares that anyone who breaks tableware gets thrown into the deep fryer. The student screams and tries to run, wanting to quit the trial and escape with his life. The chef throws 2 massive cleavers, which spin through the air with deadly accuracy. The cleavers strike the fleeing student in the head, killing him instantly. The head chef drags the body away, complaining that they are short-handed once again. The old woman leads the 2 young men through the hospital, warning them that they will see the chef at breakfast and must not insult his cooking. They finally arrive at a door, and she announces that the head nurse is inside. They arrive at a door with a grim warning written on it. The living keep out. Pai Gu reads the ominous lines and immediately feels a sense of dread, believing that going inside will not end well. The old woman cackles, telling them that the head nurse's greatest pleasure is eating pretty boys, and they fit her appetite perfectly. She adds that the nurse especially loves gnawing on ribs, her eyes glowing with sinister delight. Terrified, Pai Gu suggests they turn back, thinking they can just lay low for 3 days and complete the trial safely. He advises his friend not to provoke the head nurse, believing that following the rules is the best way to survive. But Chu Sheng is undeterred, his expression firm as he declares that he will go in. He tells his friend to wait outside, warning him to run back to the infirmary if he does not return. Pei-gyu grabs his friend's shoulder, insisting that he should be the one to go. He explains that as a pharmacist, this is his side quest, and he has a legitimate reason to be there, giving him a slim chance of survival. His friend asks if he is sure, telling him not to force himself. Pei-gyu reminds him of their conversation, how they have no money or connections and must risk it all to change their lives. With newfound determination, he says he wants to change his good-for-nothing life and is ready to fight hard. His friend is surprised by his courage, but still worries that the head nurse will not be easy to deal with. He stands guard outside with the old woman, telling his friend to shout if he encounters any danger. Pei-gyu steps through the doorway, finding the room completely dark and unsettling. He is immediately terrified by the darkness, regretting his impulsive decision to enter the room alone. A voice from the shadows comments on the arrival of a pretty boy. The head nurse is sitting in a chair, waiting for him. He stands nervously in the center of the dark room, facing the menacing figure of the head nurse. Surrounded by a swirling dark aura, she leans forward and asks him what he is there for. Overwhelmed by fear, Pei-gyu immediately bows down, nervously announcing that he has come to pay his respects. The head nurse is intrigued, noting that he is the first human to ever proactively come and pay respects to her. Outside, the old woman tells Chu Sheng they should go back, claiming no human has ever entered that room and come out alive. He silences her with a sharp command and hits her with the blunt end of his new weapon. He sends the creature flying with a powerful kick, asserting his dominance over the terrified aberration. Inside, the head nurse tells the young man that she prefers the darkness and finds the human world too bright. She muses about a future where the sun is extinguished, plunging the world into a paradise for aberrations where a figure called the Dan will arrive. The frightened student quickly agrees with everything she says, not daring to contradict the powerful aberration. His obedience pleases her. She leans in close, her long tongue darting out as she tells him he has successfully aroused her desires. The only lantern in the room flickers and dies, plunging them into darkness as the boy cries out in fear. Hearing his friend's voice, the young man outside immediately realizes something has happened. The old woman cackles, confident that the boy did not make it out alive. He hears strange, suggestive noises coming from inside the room, which leave him and the old woman completely baffled. He senses that something is not right, his expression turning serious as he listens intently. 3 minutes later, the door creaks open and a disheveled Pei-gyu stumbles out. The old woman is shocked that he actually came out alive, finding it completely unexpected. His friend rushes to his side, asking with concern if he is okay. The young man grins, holding up a key and proudly announcing that he handled the situation easily. His friend puts an arm around him, asking how he managed to get the key. Pei-gyu simply explains that he went inside and knelt, his face showing a mix of exhaustion and relief. Chu Sheng gives his friend a sly look, asking if anything else happened besides kneeling. Pei-gyu blushes and quickly denies it, insisting that nothing else happened. A moment later, they stand before the locked medicine cabinet, ready to open it. Just as Pei-gyu is about to insert the key, his friend stops him, saying he feels something is off and he should be the one to do it. As he approaches the keyhole, a massive, shadowy aberration with glowing purple eyes bursts out, cackling about the cabinet finally being opened. Pei-gyu is horrified, realizing that an aberration was hidden inside the keyhole all along. The shadowy creature lunges at them, but Chu Sheng stands his ground as his last immunity charge activates, nullifying the attack. Pei-gyu rushes to his friend's side, asking if he is okay after the terrifying encounter. He explains he's fine, realizing the head nurse gave them the key because she knew they wouldn't be able to open the cabinet alive. The old woman is stunned. She now understands that this young man is a hidden expert and decides to obey him from now on. With the medicine secured, Chu Sheng announces it is time to rest and wait for breakfast. The next day an alarm rings and a voice announces that it is breakfast time and everyone must head to the dining hall. The old woman aberration timidly offers him a towel to wipe his face, now acting as his personal servant. He takes the towel, commenting that she seems to have figured out her new role in their group. He casually wipes his face, telling her that if she behaves, he won't make things difficult for her. The old woman bows respectfully, promising to follow his lead in everything. Another aberration even helps him with his shoes. After getting ready, he announces it's time to go to the dining hall. He tells the old woman he is going early because he has something to do, despite the announcement giving them 20 minutes. She leads him to the dining hall, explaining that meals are served on time every day. She adds a stern warning: anyone who is late or complains about the food will be severely punished. The old woman points to a door next to the dining hall, telling him it's right there. He tells her to wait for him while he goes to check out the kitchen. She tries to stop him, warning him that the head chef is extremely vicious and ill-tempered. He waves her off, casually announcing that he is going to see if the chef has finished cooking. He enters a short hallway and looks around, wondering if this is the kitchen. He peeks inside and sees the massive pig-headed chef butchering something while a ghostly girl stirs a large cauldron. The young man covers his nose, repulsed by the disgusting stench wafting from the kitchen. The head chef is berating the ghostly girl, calling her a coward and telling her to get a move on. The terrified girl can only nod in agreement, too scared to say anything else. The chef becomes even angrier, yelling at her and slamming his cleaver down on the table, saying he's never seen such a cowardly aberration. Observing the scene, the young man realizes he needs to lure the head chef away first. He pulls out the balm he received from the system. He opens the lure the aberration from the mountain balm he got earlier and waits to see if it works. A strange, fragrant purple smoke wafts from the balm, catching the head chef's attention. He orders the ghostly girl to keep working while he goes to investigate the smell. The chef is completely captivated by the scent, finding it even more aromatic than human flesh. With the chef gone, he sees his chance and silently leaps down from his hiding spot. The ghostly girl is startled by his sudden appearance, wondering how he got there. He raises the blood-stained hammer with a sinister look, warning her to be quiet or he will beat her to death. The terrified ghost quickly covers her mouth, muffling her cries of fear. He pulls out a bottle of sleeping pills, declaring the chef's food too disgusting. He adds some spices to the cauldron. He turns to the ghostly girl and warns her not to tell the chef, or he will kill her. The terrified ghost quickly nods in agreement, too scared to defy him. He observes the cowardly aberration, thinking that aside from being a bit scary, she doesn't seem like a real threat. Later in the dining hall, all the students and aberrations have gathered for breakfast. The aberrations comment on how much they enjoy the head chef's flesh and blood cuisine. An old aberration complains about another student walking too fast, and the student gets hit for his perceived disrespect. Another student quickly steps in to help the old aberration, trying to stay on their good side. A different aberration with an eye patch orders a student to get him water, then punches him to the ground for no reason. The student scrambles to his feet and quickly agrees to get the water, not wanting to anger the aberration further. He returns with a bowl of water, meekly offering it to the old man. The student seethes with anger, thinking that serving this old geezer for one day has been more suffering than his entire life. The old woman aberration respectfully leads Chu Sheng into the dining hall, calling him young Master Chu. The other students are in disbelief, wondering if the aberration has gone mad to be so polite to a human. The old woman offers to rub his shoulders, saying he must be tired from waking up so early. The other aberrations are equally confused, questioning if he knows magic to make an aberration serve him. The student who was hit earlier asks his leader if that pauper really managed to subdue an aberration. The leader doesn't know how he did it, but notes that they are all vulnerable without awakened talents. He concludes that the only explanation is that the aberration Chu Sheng is controlling is the weakest one in the hospital. Another student agrees, thinking he just got lucky. He adds that killing an aberration can greatly increase the reward for passing the trial. Watching the live feed, the dean is amazed. He finds it to be a real eye-opener to see a new student make an aberration so subservient. The reporter, however, is still puzzled, admitting she doesn't understand what Chu Sheng's plan is. The handler confesses he has a theory, but it's something no one has ever done before. He suggests they just keep watching. Back in the kitchen, the head chef proudly announces that the food is ready, pushing a large cauldron of green stew. As the chef enters the dining hall, a foul stench fills the air, causing everyone to recoil in disgust. The chef begins serving the repulsive-looking green stew to all the students and aberrations. With everyone served, he once again announces that the food is ready. The students are horrified by the meal. One pinches his nose, saying it stinks worse than a toilet, and wonders how anyone could eat it. Another student complains that they are being treated worse than pigs, as not even pigs would eat this stuff. To their surprise, one of the aberrations takes a large gulp and declares it delicious, praising the chef's top-notch skills. The student who complained earlier is stunned, unable to believe that the aberration actually finds the food delicious. The other aberrations also start eating, commenting that the breakfast is quite good and has a hint of pretty boy in it. A student wonders if the food is like stinky tofu, smelling bad but tasting good. He asks if any brave soul dares to try it. One student, claiming he is starving, decides to take one for the team and takes a bite of the green stew. He chews for a moment, his expression unreadable as the others watch in anticipation. But he suddenly gags and spits out the food, declaring it to be so disgusting it's worse than waste. The old woman cackles, enjoying the show as Chu Sheng watches with a calm, detached expression. The head chef is enraged by the student's comment, turning to confront him. He brandishes his ladle menacingly, telling the student he can choose not to eat, but he cannot insult his cooking. The terrified student quickly apologizes, begging the head chef to spare him just this once. Without mercy, the head chef slams the student's head into the table, knocking him unconscious. He then announces he is taking some breakfast to the head nurse and reminds everyone that mealtime ends in half an hour. The other students are terrified, realizing that insulting the food is a death sentence in this place. They complain about being starving, but are too afraid to eat the disgusting stew, worried they won't have the strength to survive for 3 days. Suddenly, one of the students notices a pleasant smell wafting through the dining hall. Another student identifies it as the smell of beef and potatoes, wondering where it's coming from. One of them spots Chu Sheng and points, drawing everyone's attention to him. They watch in disbelief as he happily eats a delicious-looking plate of rice with gravy. The other students are furious, unable to believe he is enjoying a proper meal while they are stuck with the green sludge. One of them can't help but comment on how amazing the simple dish of beef and potato smells. The student who was bullied earlier walks up to his table and asks where he got the dish. He looks up from his meal and casually asks if the student wants some. He then tells the student to figure it out himself and continues to enjoy his food. The student is enraged by his dismissive attitude, and his companion urges him to do something before the kid eats all the food. He worries that they can't stray too far from the aberrations they are assigned to care for. But the leader has a plan. He intends to kill the weak aberration and snatch away the boy's food. He approaches the eye patch aberration and offers him some nether coins as a token of respect, asking to be excused for a moment. The aberration happily accepts the bribe, telling him to go on. The two students then confidently approach Chu Sheng's table, telling him to stop eating. He looks up, his mouth full of food, and casually asks what's up. The student's companion announces that their leader, Brother Lei, has 2 announcements, the first of which is to hand over the rice bowl. Chu Sheng smirks and tells him it's not happening, continuing to eat his meal. The leader scoffs and snatches the plate away, confident that the boy can do nothing to stop him. The young man calmly asks what the second announcement is, seemingly unfazed by the theft. The student leader gestures to the old woman aberration, declaring that she is now theirs as well. With a confident smirk, Chu Sheng tells him he'll have to ask the aberration if she is willing to go. The leader orders the old aberration to come with them quietly. Suddenly, the other student cries out in terror, pointing at the old woman's hand. His eyes widen in fear as he stares at what she's holding. He clutches his chest, complaining of a sharp pain and an empty feeling. The student with the cap finally realizes their mistake. This is not a weak aberration, but an extremely powerful one, and he runs for his life. The old woman appears behind him, asking why he is running when he was the one who wanted her. She lunges at him, her claws tearing through his back and ripping out his heart. The student stumbles forward, feeling the cold emptiness in his chest as the aberration holds his still beating heart in her hand. Chu Sheng calmly continues eating, commenting on how impressive the old lady is as she throws the heart aside. The aberration turns her attention to the last remaining student, who is now frozen in fear. He desperately offers her nether coins, begging for his life. She roars that his money is not enough to buy his life and lunges at him with terrifying speed. The student screams in terror as the money flies from his hands, too scared to even move. The old woman stops and pinches her nose in disgust, calling him trash for being so scared that he crapped his pants. 20 minutes later, the eye patch aberration yawns, complaining of being sleepy. He lays his head on the table, deciding to take a nap and wait for the head chef to clean up. Half an hour passes, and all the aberrations are asleep. The students wonder why the head chef hasn't returned yet. Chu Sheng finishes his meal and announces that it is time to get down to business. One of the female students tries to stop him, warning him not to wake the sleeping aberrations. He ignores her and brings his hammer down on the head of a sleeping ghost, shouting 80. The girl is splattered with blood, her face a mask of shock and horror. She screams in terror, unable to process what just happened. He continues his rampage, smashing the heads of the sleeping aberrations one by one, while yelling 80 with each strike. With one aberration down, he calmly walks over to the next sleeping victim. One of the other students is horrified by his actions, asking what he is doing. He uses the sharp end of the hammer to pierce through the head of another sleeping aberration, killing it instantly. The other students are stunned by his ferocity, wondering if he plans to hammer all the aberrations to death. Pagyu realizes that the hammer must be an eerie artifact, as it would be impossible to kill an aberration otherwise. Watching the live feed, the dean can only describe the boy as crazy. He deduces that Chu Sheng has been planning this massacre from the moment he entered the domain, every action a calculated step. The handler confirms his theory was correct. The young man plans to wipe out all the aberrations, something no one has ever done in a trial. He walks over to the last sleeping aberration, ready to finish his work. He brings the hammer down with a final decisive blow, killing the last of the sleeping creatures. A notification announces he has killed all the patients and obtained the title Aberration Slaying General, which helps maintain his sanity. He reflects on the SN value, remembering it's a crucial quality for every aberration handler. He suddenly realizes he has killed all the patients, a fact that gives him a moment of pause. He turns to the old woman aberration, asking if she is also a patient in the nursing home. She nervously explains she is not a patient, but came to the nursing home by accident when the eerie domain descended. She quickly apologizes for not telling him sooner, assuring him that she has no bad intentions. She internally prays that this god of slaughter doesn't get angry, as she doesn't want to be hammered to death. The other students are in disbelief, unable to comprehend how he managed to wipe out all the aberrations by himself. An announcement suddenly echoes through the hall, stating that with all the patients gone, the caregivers are now obsolete and will be killed by the head nurse. The students panic, realizing the head nurse is coming to kill them all. Pagu blames his friend for getting them into this mess. Another student agrees, pointing at him and demanding that he be tied up. They surround him, insisting he take responsibility and be offered to the head nurse as an apology. He glares at them, his voice cold as he warns that if any of them dare to run their mouths again, he will rip out their hearts. The old woman aberration steps forward, her eyes glowing as she cackles and offers to see whose heart tastes better. The students are terrified by the threat, taking a step back in fear. He scoffs at their cowardice and turns to leave, calling them a bunch of cowards. The old woman warns him that it's too dangerous to find the head nurse now, but he explains his plan. He knew the head nurse also ate breakfast and would have fallen into a deep sleep from the drugged food. They arrive at the head nurse's room to find both her and the head chef passed out. The old woman is amazed by his godlike predictions. He peeks into the room, confirming that both powerful aberrations are fast asleep. Without hesitation, he enters the room and brings his hammer down on the head chef, killing him in his sleep. 5 minutes later, he is still relentlessly hammering the head nurse, who seems incredibly durable. A new side quest is issued. With the head chef dead, he must cook a delicious meal and receive praise from at least one patient. He realizes the quest is impossible to complete, as all the patients have been killed. He raises his hammer, ready to finish off the head nurse, acknowledging that the eerie domain is a death trap at every turn. The head nurse's eyes flutter open, the sleeping pills finally wearing off. He is shocked, realizing she has woken up much earlier than he anticipated. The nurse is furious, grabbing him and demanding to know what he is doing. He tries to fight back, swinging his hammer at her head. But she catches the blow, her monstrous face contorted in a rage as she asks if he is looking to die. He strikes again, but she easily deflects the attack, her strength far greater than he expected. She throws him across the room, telling him to scram. He lands hard on the floor, realizing he is in deep trouble now that she is awake. The dean watches the live feed with grim certainty, believing the boy's luck has finally run out. The head nurse is enraged, accusing him of killing the head chef and breaking the rules of the domain. He stands his ground, telling her he is not afraid to die, and asks if he can at least choose his method of death. She is amused by his self-awareness and asks him how he would like to die. With a calm smile, he tells her he wants to die blissfully. She is momentarily speechless, then rejects his request, telling him to dream on. She decides to make the choice for him, announcing that she is going to twist off his head. He flatly refuses that method, stating that he does not want his head twisted off. The nurse taunts him, reminding him of his earlier bravado. He retorts that he is afraid of scarring, his expression dead serious. The dean is amazed that he still has the mood to joke around at a time like this, commenting on his abnormally strong mental fortitude. He realizes this is a life-or-death moment and silently asks his system for a good reward. A notification appears, congratulating him on obtaining a flamethrower. He is shocked by the unexpected reward, his eyes widening in disbelief. The head nurse lunges at him, her long tongue darting out as she orders him to stand still. He raises the flamethrower, ready to burn the aberration to a crisp. He unleashes a torrent of fire, engulfing the surprised nurse in a massive blaze. She screams in agony as the flames consume her, roaring in a mix of pain and fury. The group watching the live feed is stunned. The reporter and the dean wonder where he could have possibly gotten a flamethrower. He lets out a sigh of relief as the flames die down, the powerful weapon now in his hands. He stands over the charred remains of the head nurse, wondering if she is finally dead. To be sure, he decides to deliver some finishing blows, not taking any chances. He raises his hammer, but the charred hand of the nurse suddenly shoots out and grabs the weapon, stopping his attack. He is shocked by her strength, realizing she is still alive even after being burned to ashes. The burnt aberration grabs him by the throat, her grip like iron. She mockingly asks if he really thought he could kill an aberration with ordinary flames. She reminds him that only aberrations, eerie artifacts, or the rules of the domain can kill aberrations, a lesson his school should have taught him. He struggles to breathe, wondering if there is truly no chance to turn the situation around. The nurse lifts him by the throat, promising to treasure his head after she rips it off. Suddenly, the old woman aberration appears behind her and rips out her heart, saving the young man's life. The head nurse stumbles forward, shocked that another aberration would help a human. The old woman cackles, explaining that she had no other choice. As the head nurse lunges at him again, he dodges and rolls to the side, recovering from the chokehold. He gets to his feet and brings his hammer down on her head with a powerful swing. He continues to hammer her relentlessly, venting all his frustration and anger. The old woman tells him to stop, confirming that the head nurse is completely dead. He pants, wiping the sweat from his brow as he thanks her for saving his life. She explains she was also saving herself, as the head nurse would not have spared her either. He acknowledges that he owes her a favor, standing over the defeated body of the head nurse. The group watching outside is in utter disbelief. The reporter can't believe an aberration actually helped a human kill another aberration. The dean is ecstatic, calling the trial absolutely brilliant and deciding to use it as teaching material. The handler notes that this complex relationship is extremely rare and decides to report it to the Aberration Handler Alliance. Back in the room, he decides to see if the head nurse left behind any good items, knowing that eerie artifacts become ownerless after their master dies. He finds a book titled King's Nursing Home Introduction. He opens the book, curious about its contents. He learns that this nursing home is just a branch of a massive organization with its headquarters in the eerie main world. This eerie main world is a true world of aberrations, and the eerie domains in the real world are invasions from it. He realizes the ultimate goal of this massive aberration organization is to fully invade the real world and turn it into an eerie domain. The old woman aberration warns him that the dean of King's nursing home is an extremely powerful Titan aberration who will not let him off for his actions. He listens to her warning, his expression firm as he acknowledges the information. He then pulls a smelly stocking out of a drawer, seemingly another eerie artifact. The system confirms he has obtained the head nurse's relic, a smelly stocking that has unexpected effects when worn on the head. He decides to forget about the strange instructions and stores the artifact away for later. An announcement declares that all staff and patients have been killed, and the eerie domain will disappear in 2 days. He finds it interesting that the announcement mentions all staff, leading him to question the origin of the cowardly ghost girl. The other students are overjoyed, realizing they are safe now that the eerie domain has been cleared. He walks back into the dining hall, followed by his subservient aberration, and is met with stunned silence from the other students. One of the students nervously asks what happened, and if he really killed the head nurse. The student who had bullied him earlier, Zhao Dulei, quickly changes his tune, calling him Big Bro and offering his loyalty. The student grovels on the floor, promising to do whatever his new Big Bro says. He walks past them, heading back to the kitchen, ignoring their sudden change of heart. Inside, the cowardly ghost girl is still diligently chopping meat, unaware of the recent events. He tells her to stop chopping, informing her that the head chef is already dead. The girl looks up in surprise, her expression a mix of confusion and relief. He asks the old woman about the girl's background, wondering if she is really an aberration. The old woman explains that the girl is a native aberration from King's nursing home, who was dragged into this invasion. He is surprised to learn that the head nurse failed to kill her, despite her timid nature. The old woman finds it surprising as well, noting that the girl never fights back, yet somehow survived. He asks the two aberrations where they will go after the eerie domain disappears. The old woman explains they will be teleported back to King's nursing home in the eerie main world. The cowardly ghost girl trembles in fear, saying she does not want to go back. He turns to her, asking if she really doesn't want to return to her home. She nods eagerly, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and hope. He offers to help her stay in this world, but in return, she will have to do a few things for him. He proposes that she become his ghost servant, promising not to hurt her if she agrees. With a halo appearing above her head, she readily agrees to his offer without a second thought. He is surprised by her quick acceptance, thinking that this little coward isn't very bright. He then asks her to give him her life-bound object, a crucial component for the pact. The dean is shocked, explaining that taking on a ghost servant before becoming a real ghost tamer is unheard of and extremely difficult. The ghost girl presents him with a simple pencil case, her life-bound object. He is confused, as life-bound objects are usually bones or weapons, not something as mundane as a pencil case. He tries to open the case but finds it sealed shut, unable to pry it open. Deciding to worry about it later, he bites his thumb to draw blood and finish the pact. He lets a drop of his blood fall onto the pencil case, sealing the contract between them. A brilliant blue flame erupts around both of them, signifying the successful formation of the pact. The reporter is ecstatic, announcing that he has succeeded and set another record. The dean laughs with pride, exclaiming that this kid has brought glory to his school. The reporter notices the handler seems worried and asks him what's wrong. The handler explains that a ghost tamer can only form one contract in their entire life. The reporter realizes the mistake. He has bound himself to a timid and useless servant with no combat ability. The dean facepalms in disappointment, lamenting how the boy started with a perfect hand but ended up playing a worthless card. Back in the domain, a red aura surrounds the young man as he feels a strange new power flowing through him. The ghost girl transforms into a stream of green energy and flows into the pencil case. He is amused by her cowardice, noting that she couldn't wait to hide inside his body. He reflects on his success, realizing he managed to solve everything within one day, thanks to the born rebel skill. The dean realizes the footage of the trial probably can't be shown to the public due to its extreme nature. He explains that releasing the videos would mislead people into thinking that clearing an eerie domain is easy, which could get them killed. The reporter agrees and suggests they film the other students, as there are still 2 days left in the trial. The dean decides to check on Kaiji, believing he will give them an amazing performance. The live feed shows Kaiji groveling before an aberration, offering to massage its legs. The dean is left speechless and utterly disappointed by the sight. The reporter sighs, commenting that after watching Chu Sheng, everyone else seems boring. 2 days later, Chu Sheng and Pai Gu are relaxing on lounge chairs, finding the trial to be surprisingly relaxing. The old woman aberration informs him that there are only 5 minutes left before the trial ends. He asks the old woman for her name, as he never got it before. She tells him to just call her old Mrs. Nay, as a name is just a title. He bids her farewell, hoping they will have a chance to meet again. As the trial ends, the eerie nursing home stands silent under a crescent moon, its terrors finally vanquished. As they are about to leave, the sky suddenly turns dark, and he wonders what is happening. A powerful, oppressive aura descends upon them. The old woman aberration trembles in fear, announcing the arrival of the director. He is shocked by this sudden turn of events, not expecting such a powerful being to appear. The old woman explains that because he destroyed the domain and killed the head nurse, the director is coming to kill him personally. Pai Gu is terrified by the immense pressure, his entire soul trembling in fear. A massive, glowing red eye appears in the sky, declaring the young man's sins to be unforgivable. The reporter comments on the infuriating contrast between the other students' struggles and his 2 days of relaxation. The group outside watches as a dark, ominous fog begins to envelop the area around the nursing home. The dean is alarmed, wondering where the black fog came from. The reporter realizes the nursing home is being completely covered by a manifesting supernatural domain. The handler is baffled, as he has never heard of a supernatural domain manifesting twice in the same location. The dean worries about the hundreds of students still trapped inside the newly forming domain. The handler declares he will force his way through the domain, gathering a powerful purple energy in his hands. The reporter recognizes the energy as soul fire, a skill only acquired by ghost tamers who have trained for a very long time. He unleashes the soul fire in the shape of a massive, glowing purple rose that rises into the sky. He launches the attack at the encroaching domain, hoping to break through the barrier. However, the powerful soul fire is instantly extinguished as it touches the black fog. The dean is shocked, unable to believe that the handler's powerful attack was neutralized so easily. The handler realizes a great horror is hiding inside the black fog and orders someone to call the Ghost Tamer Alliance immediately. Back inside the crumbling domain, Chu Sheng and Pai Gu are surrounded by a red swirling energy as the timer counts down the last 2 minutes. The old woman aberration is in disbelief. She can't believe he actually survived his encounter with the director. Everyone is safely out of the domain, and the dean is relieved that the last-minute incident didn't cause any major problems. He addresses the students, explaining that their future as aberration handlers depends on the abilities they awaken. He quiets them down, announcing the beginning of the most important part, the awakening phase. Chu Sheng kneels beside his unconscious friend, waking him up for the ability awakening. Pai Gu sits up, still shaken from the terrifying ordeal, exclaiming that he thought they weren't going to make it out alive. Kai Ji approaches them, mocking their cowardice and laughing at how scared they still are. He then smugly asks another student how many times Chu Sheng pissed his pants in there. The young man stands up and tells him to get lost, clearly not in the mood for his taunts. The arrogant student is enraged by his dismissive attitude, unable to believe he was just cursed at. Just as the confrontation is about to escalate, Jing Ziyi steps in, her presence immediately calming the situation. She asks him how his trial went, her expression a mix of curiosity and amusement. He casually replies that it was okay, to which she responds that just making it out alive is good enough. She repeats her offer, asking him to be her slave in exchange for her protection. A large glowing blue screen appears before them, signaling the announcement of the trial rankings. The students know that the rankings will largely determine the strength of the abilities they awaken. Everyone expects Jing Ziyi and Kai Ji to be at the top. Kai Ji confidently declares that he is not weaker than anyone and is definitely number one. The results are displayed on the screen. Chu Sheng is in first place with a shocking 120%, far ahead of everyone else. Kai Ji is stunned, unable to believe that he has been beaten by the person he looked down on. The other students are equally shocked, wondering how his completion rate could be over 100% when the maximum is supposed to be 100. Other students agree, calling it absurd and questioning how a pauper with no connections could achieve such a high completion rate. Kai Ji demands an investigation, convinced there has been a mistake in the data. The dean admits that a 120% completion rate is incredible, but he insists the data is generated by the domain itself and cannot be wrong. Jing Ziyi approaches Chu Sheng, asking him how he managed to get such a high completion rate. He smirks and simply replies that all you need is hands, leaving her speechless. It is finally time for the students to awaken their talents. They are all filled with a mix of excitement and anxiety. One student is disappointed to find his awakened talent is just the ability to eat an extra pound of rice at a critical moment. A female student complains that her talent is even more ridiculous. Pee on sight. She explains that when she sees an aberration, she will immediately piss herself, and the smell will drive the creature away. The dean sighs in disappointment, noting that as expected, most of the students awakened useless talents. An announcement reveals that Kai Ji has awakened an A-rank talent, Eerie Object Perception. The dean is overjoyed, praising Kai Ji's A-rank talent and noting its usefulness for survival in eerie domains. Next, it is announced that Jing Ziyi has awakened an A-rank talent, Immobilization Technique. The dean is ecstatic, as the academy hasn't had a student with such a high-level talent in many years. The handler notes that with the immobilization technique, an aberration handler can kill any ordinary aberration once they have grown stronger. Jing Ziyi turns to Chu Sheng, asking if he is impressed with her powerful new talent. Suddenly, a brilliant blue aura erupts around him, signaling the awakening of his own talent. Jing Ziyi is blinded by the dazzling light, wondering what is happening. The dean and the handler are stunned, realizing he has awakened an S-rank talent, something they have never seen before. The reporter is in disbelief. She notes that an S-rank talent handler would be a major figure even in the eerie main world. The screen displays his awakened S-rank talent, Nether Coin Critical Rebate. The other students are confused, wondering what kind of talent that is. They speculate that it just gives him extra Nether Coins after clearing a domain, deeming it useless. Kai Ji laughs, calling the S-rank talent nothing more than trash. The reporter asks the dean for his opinion, and he agrees that it seems too ordinary compared to other S-rank talents. The handler, however, points out that a quantitative change can lead to a qualitative one. A staggering amount of Nether Coins could change everything. The talent awakening is complete, and the settlement of the trial rewards begins. The students begin receiving their rewards, with some getting 5 Nether Coins and others only 3. They turn their attention to the first-place student, curious to see how many coins he will get. A notification announces that due to his outstanding performance, he has triggered a 10,000x critical bonus, awarding him 18,000 Nether Coins. He is ecstatic, realizing he is now rich with a massive fortune of Nether Coins. He knows this talent is a perfect match for his custom power-up shop, allowing him to buy any ability he wants. The other students misinterpret his silence as devastation, feeling pity for his seemingly useless S-rank talent. Jingzi approaches him, placing a hand on his shoulder. She tells him to look on the bright side, suggesting he was born to be a slave and can always come to her if things don't work out. He pushes her away, annoyed by her condescending offer. The handler announces the end of the awakening trial, reminding the students that this is just the beginning of their journey. He emphasizes that true experts are forged in the perilous, eerie domains. The dean declares that all students who have awakened a talent are now provisional aberration handlers and must contribute to the survival of humanity. He instructs everyone to get on the bus back to the academy, announcing an expedition to clear nearby aberrations in 3 days. The dean explains that once they reach a certain number of contribution points, they can travel to the eerie main world and become true handlers. On the bus ride back, he asks Paigu what talent he awakened. Paigu nervously replies that it's nothing special, avoiding the question. His friend decides not to press the issue, knowing he'll find out eventually. Back in his room, Chu Sheng reflects on how mentally draining the past 3 days have been, especially the encounter with the director. He realizes he needs to get some sleep to recover from the ordeal. Suddenly, the cowardly ghost girl appears in his room, having somehow gotten out of her pencil case. He is startled by her sudden appearance and asks how she managed to get out. She points to his bed, her intentions unclear. He asks if she wants to sleep with him, and she eagerly nods in agreement. He sighs and decides not to take his clothes off, agreeing to let her sleep with him. He lies down, thinking about how his first time sleeping with a girl is with an aberration. The ghost girl snuggles up to him, and they both fall asleep. The next morning, Paigu knocks on his door, calling for him to wake up. He enters the room, surprised to find his friend still sleeping. Chu Sheng wakes up with a start, finding himself alone in his bed. He asks his friend if he saw anything on his bed when he came in. Paigu is confused and says he didn't see anything at all. He stretches, asking what is so urgent this early in the morning. His friend tells him it's already noon, and that the school's eerie artifact shop is open. He is intrigued by the news of the eerie artifact shop and gets ready to check it out. Paigu explains that as provisional handlers, they now have to regularly clear aberrations from the surrounding area. Chu Sheng is excited by the news, putting an arm around his friend as they head to check out the new shop. They arrive at the eerie artifact shop, joining a crowd of other students who are also there to browse. The other students are in disbelief at the high prices, complaining that they can't afford anything. An old man with a pipe, the shopkeeper, tells them to scram if they are not buying. Another man, seemingly an instructor, tells the old shopkeeper that it's not right to tease the kids like this. The old man, Tian, scoffs, saying that students these days are too coddled and don't think about how to get stronger. He explains he is just letting them know that shortcuts don't come easy. The instructor sighs, finding the old man's methods to be exasperating. The shopkeeper reveals that he poured his heart and soul into making the artifacts, and 1,000 coins apiece is a bargain. The instructor points out that it doesn't matter, as no one can afford them anyway. The students are shocked to see that the cheapest item costs 1,000 nether coins. Chu Sheng inspects the artifacts, noting that they feel much weaker than the hammer he found in the nursing home. The shopkeeper confirms his suspicion, explaining that these are not real eerie artifacts, but pseudo-artifacts. He elaborates that real eerie artifacts are incredibly precious and could never be sold for such a low price. Paigu asks what the use of a pseudo-artifact is if it's not a real one. The old man chides him, asking who told him they were useless. He explains that pseudo-artifacts are single-use items imbued with yin energy that can be a lifesaver in a critical moment. Paigu is still skeptical, pointing out that 1,000 coins for a single use is still unaffordable for most of them. The shopkeeper laughs, admitting they can't afford them. He says the shop was opened just to let them look and motivate them to work harder. Paigu whispers to his friend, commenting on how evil the old shopkeeper is for teasing them like this. With no one buying, the old man sighs and decides it is time to pack up and close his shop for the day. But just as he prepares to leave, Chu Sheng calls out with a determined look, telling him to wait. He leans over the counter and confidently declares that he will be buying all of the pseudo-eerie artifacts. The old shopkeeper is taken aback by the sudden announcement and asks the young man what he just said. With a firm expression, he repeats that he wants to buy all the artifacts and tells the man to pack them up. The shopkeeper dismisses him with a wave of his hand, clearly not taking him seriously and telling him to go play elsewhere. In response, the young man places a thick stack of nether coins directly onto the counter, stunning everyone. The old man stares at the money in disbelief, asking if the youth actually has the funds for such a large purchase. He confirms that he has 8,000 nether coins, enough to buy all 8 of the pseudo-eerie artifacts on display. The instructor laughs, remarking that this is what the old man gets for showing off and that the kid is getting the items cheap. Still in shock, the shopkeeper asks where a student could have gotten so many coins, a sum even a veteran handler would struggle to save. He and the instructor wonder which handler family he belongs to, and if his parents know about this huge expense. Unfazed by their questions, Chu Sheng cheekily asks if all this questioning means he gets a discount. The old man reluctantly packs the artifacts into a case, complaining that he has never even made this many for his own granddaughter. With the case in hand, he thanks the shopkeeper and promises he will come back for any new artifacts in the future. The shopkeeper fumes, infuriated that the kid got a great deal and still acts smug, as if he should be thanked for it. The instructor tries to console him, suggesting he should think of it as a contribution to humanity to make himself feel better, but the old man retorts that he lost over 30,000 coins and will only feel better if he gets reimbursed. As the young man walks away with his new purchase, the old shopkeeper stops him, asking for his name. He turns and walks away from the shop with his friend, announcing his name is Chu Sheng. The old shopkeeper smirks, thinking the name, which sounds like beast, fits the kid's personality perfectly, which makes him feel a little better. Meanwhile, Kai Ji and his 2 companions are walking down the street. One asks if he really managed to get enough nether coins. He confirms he asked his parents for the money, but only managed to scrape together 1,000 coins, enough for just one eerie artifact. His friends are impressed, saying his family is loaded. However, one complains that 1,000 coins for an artifact is a ripoff. Kai Ji scoffs at his friend's ignorance. He explains that even a pseudo-artifact is a steal at 1,000 coins, as they are usually much more expensive. He shows off his skeletal hand, explaining it is just a yin-tainted imitation, not a true artifact, and his dad still spent 2,000 coins on it. The group finally arrives at the eerie artifact shop, and Kai Ji confidently tells the shopkeeper to get him an artifact. The old man bluntly informs him that there are none left because they have all been sold. Kai Ji is enraged by the news, turning to the side in disbelief and asking if the shopkeeper is kidding him. One of his companions chimes in, angrily questioning who else in the academy could possibly afford an artifact besides their leader. The old man casually explains that a student named Chu Sheng bought all of them, telling the group to scram and stop making a scene. Hearing the name, Sai Ji's anger intensifies. He immediately decides they will go find him and walks away with his group. As they walk through the street, one of his friends wonders how a poor student like Chu Sheng could possibly afford an artifact. Sai Ji calls his companion stupid, reminding him of the seemingly useless S-rank talent that Chu Sheng awakened during the trial. The friend connects the dots, realizing his nether coin critical rebate talent must have given him a huge bonus from the trial reward. Sai Ji confirms this is the only possibility. He sneers, thinking a piece of trash with a garbage talent is unworthy of such precious artifacts. Meanwhile, Chu Sheng and Pei Gu are walking down the street, with the young man carrying the briefcase full of his new purchases. Pei Gu suddenly looks back in alarm, spotting Sai Ji and his gang running towards them and yelling for his friend to stop. He quickly warns his companion that the bullies must have found out about the artifacts, but Chu Sheng tells him to just ignore them. Enraged that he is being ignored, the arrogant student shouts at him, demanding to know if the bastard is deaf. Chu Sheng finally stops and turns around, coldly asking the bully who he thinks he is and why he should listen to him. One of Sai Ji's friends mocks him, reminding him that pseudo-artifacts only work on aberrations, not on people. Done wasting time, Sai Ji points at the youth and confidently demands that he hand over half of the eerie artifacts. The young man simply stares back with a defiant expression, asking why he should do that. The bully explains that with his powerful A-rank talent, it would be all too easy for him to kill someone from the shadows. Chu Sheng's expression hardens as he realizes the bully is openly threatening to kill him over the artifacts. Sai Ji then offers a deal, promising to look out for him on future missions if he knows what's good for him. Without warning, the young man slaps Kai Ji hard across the face, the sound echoing in the street. Stunned and furious with a red mark on his cheek, the bully glares back, declaring that the boy is courting death. Unfazed, the young man scoffs and pulls out his blood-stained hammer, ready for a fight. The bully calls him an idiot, angrily reminding him that pseudo-eerie artifacts do not work on people. Ignoring the taunt, he swings the hammer down hard on the bully's head, shouting his familiar battle cry, 80. The arrogant student collapses to the ground in pain, his two companions watching in complete shock. Furious, Kaiji gets up and pulls out his own skeletal artifact, ordering his friends to beat the young man to death while he takes the blame. Chu Sheng stands his ground, pulling out one of the pseudo-artifacts he just bought, daring them to make a move. With a furious scream, the bully lunges forward, bringing his skeletal weapon down with the intent to kill. But the young man easily blocks the attack with his blood-stained hammer, the two artifacts clashing with a powerful impact. To his horror, the bully's eerie artifact shatters into pieces upon contact, leaving him completely defenseless. The hero holds up one of his new artifacts, a glowing bullet-like object, and coldly asks the bully if he has had enough. Kaiji and his friends are terrified by his menacing glare, feeling a genuine killing intent that makes them realize he is serious. Bruised and completely defeated, the arrogant student finally gives up, admitting that he has had enough. The young man tells him that he knows how cruel the eerie domains are, and that no one there is a pushover. He gives one final warning as he turns to leave, telling the bully that if he dares to mess with him again, he is dead. Walking away, he wonders about the artifacts he can bring out of domains and what rank his powerful hammer might be. As Kaiji is helped up by his friends, one of them nervously asks if he is okay. He glares after the departing student, seething that even his own father has never hit him before, and vowing to kill him for this humiliation. 3 days later, the students gather for their first official mission, which is set to take place within the city at night. They learn they will be cooperating with the Exorcism Bureau to help clear out aberrations that have managed to infiltrate the city. An instructor announces that upon arrival, Captain Shu Yu will be assigning everyone their individual tasks for the operation. The captain of the Hancheng Exorcism Bureau, Shu Yu, introduces himself to the group of provisional aberration handlers. He explains that while the city is protected by walls and formations, some aberrations still manage to slip through the defenses. The captain informs them that according to their intel, multiple aberrations are hiding in the urban village ahead, and their mission is to find them. He adds that those who perform exceptionally will not only get more contribution points, but also a chance to work for the Exorcism Bureau. The students realize this is a huge opportunity, as joining the Bureau is one of the only ways to have a stable and safe life in their world. With the briefing over, the captain announces the start of the operation, warning everyone to be careful as the aberrations are dangerous. As they walk, Paigu tells his friend that joining the Exorcism Bureau has been his dream since he was a kid, and he is determined to do his best. A Bureau member suddenly tells his captain to look at a person's back, pointing towards Chu Sheng and his friend. The subordinate leans in and asks the captain if the student doesn't look familiar, specifically like the kid who killed Granny K. The captain's eyes light up with recognition. He realizes it is him, the mysterious expert they have been searching for all this time. A Bureau member informs Captain Shu Yu that the young man has just entered the urban village. The captain immediately orders his men to follow, eager to see the mysterious expert in action again. The students begin their search, but one complains that the urban village is too large to search effectively. His companion suddenly has an idea, realizing there is a better way to find information. He approaches an old man relaxing in a chair and politely asks if anything strange has happened recently. The old man sarcastically replies, asking if eating more than usual counts as something strange. Flustered, the young man decides to be direct and asks if there have been any hauntings in the area. The old man denies any hauntings, explaining that their village is protected by a man named He Shang Fu. He claims the village has always been prosperous and peaceful, but his sinister expression suggests otherwise. Chu Sheng is intrigued, wondering who this protector is and why he is more powerful than an aberration handler. The old man proudly explains that He Shang Fu is their chief and has the power to summon gods to the mortal world. He then abruptly ends the conversation, announcing he is hungry and heading inside to eat. His friend thinks the old man seemed normal, but Chu Sheng finds him suspicious and wants to investigate further. He tells his friend not to rush, suggesting they go check out the old man's house first to see what they can find. Suddenly, the cowardly ghost girl appears inside him, asking if he is afraid of the old man. Chu Sheng's friend panics, warning him not to move. He explains the Exorcism Bureau is outside and will notice any disturbance. 2 armed men appear, reassuring them they will not use their powers. This is to avoid alerting the Exorcism Bureau. Seeing the immediate danger, the young man tells his friend to run for it. But Paigu pulls him back, forcing him to hide behind an old man who is calmly eating at a nearby table. The armed men mock their decision, questioning what good hiding behind a seemingly harmless old man will do. Chu Sheng confidently warns them to back off if they want to live. He insists this old man is not to be trifled with. Unimpressed by the warning, the thugs decide to just kill the old man along with the two students. They take aim, but the elder continues to eat his meal, completely unfazed by the guns pointed at him. Suddenly, the old man's eyes glow red. He stands up in a rage, furious that they disturbed his meal. The thugs are surprised, but tell the old man he is eating his last meal, still underestimating the threat. As the old man's bowl shatters, one thug assumes he is dead. He tells his partner to quickly deal with the two boys. But the elder transforms into a massive, monstrous ghoul, towering over them with a terrifying presence. The two men are horrified. They realize Chu Sheng tricked them and that this was never an ordinary old man but a ghoul. In a panic, they start firing their guns at the creature, desperately trying to keep it at bay. They quickly realize their guns have no effect. They understand they must use their aberration handling abilities to survive. One of the thugs grits his teeth, gathering a powerful red energy around his body. His muscles expand dramatically, tearing his clothes as he unleashes his transformation ability. He now stands as a hulking figure, while his partner reveals his own power, his hand turning into long, sharp claws. Watching from behind the table, Pai-gu is shocked. He realizes they are both provisional handlers with transformation talents. The muscular man charges forward, leaping at the massive ghoul with the intent to kill. He throws a powerful punch, but the ghoul opens its massive jaws, preparing to counter the attack. The creature is surprisingly fast, and easily catches his arm in its powerful jaws before the punch can land. The handler screams in pain as the ghoul's sharp teeth sink deep into his flesh. With a final sickening crunch, the ghoul completely crushes his arm, leaving him wounded and defeated on the floor. Seeing his partner fall, the other thug with the claws leaps onto the aberration's back to continue the fight. But the ghoul effortlessly swats him away with a powerful backhand, sending him flying across the room. The creature stands victorious over the two defeated handlers. Pai-gu is terrified by its sheer brutality. He whispers in relief, thankful that they did not try to fight the ghoul themselves. The remaining thug gets to his feet, realizing that he is no match for this powerful aberration. He decides to take care of Chu Sheng first, and leaps towards their hiding spot with a menacing look. But before he can reach them, the ghoul's massive hand lunges forward, glowing with a sinister red energy. It grabs the handler by the face with incredible speed, his expression turning to one of pure shock. The creature roars that they must die for disturbing its meal, effortlessly holding the man upside down by his leg. The muscular handler gets back on his feet, defiantly declaring that he will fight the aberration to the death. But the ghoul simply uses his companion as a weapon, throwing the man at him as he begs to be let go. Seeing his chance, Chu Sheng stands up. He calmly offers to save them if they tell him who wants him dead. Caught in the ghoul's powerful grip, the handlers desperately agree to his terms, begging him to save them immediately. With the information secured, the young man leaps into action, swinging his blood-stained hammer at the creature's back. The handlers are stunned. They realize with horror that the young man actually possesses a real eerie artifact. The ghoul bites down on one of the thugs, who screams in pain, confused why he is the one being attacked. With his arm torn off, the muscular handler finally reveals it was Kaiji's father who hired them to kill him and steal his artifact. Pai-gu is horrified by the revelation, unable to believe how evil Kaiji could be. The surviving thug gives him a friendly warning, explaining that Kaiji's parents are powerful and famous handlers. He then reminds the youth of their deal, stating that he cannot be killed now that the truth is out. The man adds that he is sure the student is honest and trustworthy, trying to appeal to his sense of honor. He agrees that he is a good student and will not touch them this time, but he warns them he will kill them the next time they meet. His friend is confused by this, wondering if he is really letting the two handlers go so easily. The surviving thug helps his injured partner away, thinking the young man is a fool for letting them go. They believe he is too naive. Once they recover, they plan to kill him and take his real eerie artifact. But just as they are about to leave, a hand suddenly lands on the handler's shoulder, stopping him in his tracks. It is the young man who greets them with a sinister smile, announcing that they meet again. The two thugs are completely baffled by his sudden appearance and his cryptic words. He raises his blood-stained hammer, reminding them of his promise to kill them the next time they met. The handlers are terrified. They desperately plead with him, calling him a beast for breaking his word. Ignoring their pleas, he swings his hammer with deadly force, cutting both of them down in a single motion. With the two men now dead, he calmly tells someone to come out, as if he is not alone. The cowardly ghost girl materializes from his body, her spectral form now visible beside him. She tells him she can feel his desire for the ghoul. He declares that from now on, the creature is hers. The spirit girl covers her mouth, looking distressed as she denies what she sees before her. The young man calls her a coward, reminding her that the ghoul lying on the floor is already dead. She still seems afraid, clinging to his arm as he insists there's nothing to fear. Finally letting go, she crouches down to inspect the ghoul's lifeless body on the ground. As she touches it, a dark, shadowy substance seeps out and converges toward her. Her companion asks the young man what the cowardly aberration is doing now. He replies that he is not sure, but it seems like she is pulling something out of the ghoul's body. A black orb forms in her hand, revealing the memory of a man with a determined gaze. In the vision, this man learns he is terminally ill and will not have an easy time surviving. The memory shifts to an elderly patient begging him, claiming his methods are divine and can save him. The figure offers to save the old man, but only if he agrees to sign a symbiotic contract. The contract would require him to share his body with a god, leaving the old man stunned. The man warns that with his illness, the patient will not live for more than a month without the deal. Desperate, the elderly man agrees immediately, saying he will sign the contract right now. He quickly takes the document and signs his name without any further hesitation. The figure congratulates him on his new life as the signed paper bursts into green flames. The old man suddenly screams as his body is engulfed by a thick cloud of black smoke. The dark smoke expands, filling the room as the mysterious figure watches calmly from a distance. From within the smoke, a monstrous creature with red eyes emerges, growling about its intense hunger. The newly formed monster immediately lunges forward, swiping its claws at the man who created it. Back in the memory, the man who offered the deal undergoes a transformation himself. He morphs into a giant insect-like creature, ready to fight the new ghoul. The insect monster angrily attacks the rhino ghoul, who pleads that it would not dare to defy him. Back in the present, the young man's companion realizes the vision was the ghoul's past. At that moment, the spirit girl sneezes, expelling the dark orb of memory she had consumed. The silver-haired youth remarks that the cowardly aberration's ability is actually quite useful. He explains to his companion that she can see the past of the ghouls she eats, a unique innate talent. His friend now understands that He Shang-Gufu is behind the hauntings in the village. The group decides to leave immediately to find He Shang-Gufu and confront him. Elsewhere, a large crowd gathers in a ritual circle where two monstrous figures are tied to pillars. A man named He Shang-Gufu stands beside a student expressing his shock that his village has ghouls. The student reassures the village head, telling him not to worry because they are here to handle it. He then turns to the crowd, shouting for everyone to join him in killing the two captive ghouls. The villagers rush forward, attacking the two bound creatures relentlessly under the dark sky. Two students watch the scene unfold, casually remarking how easy the ghouls are to kill. After the fight, He Shang-Gufu bows deeply, thanking the students for their help on behalf of the villagers. The student leader smiles, saying their success was also thanks to the village head's cooperation. Watching this from a distance, the young warrior wonders why He Shang-Gufu would help kill ghouls. His silver-haired companion believes he is just bluffing because the exorcism bureau is nearby. The student leader tells the village head that since the ghouls are found, they will be leaving now. The student leader dismisses the village head, explaining they also need to take the bodies back. He Shang-Gufu then turns to the crowd, telling the villagers to stop staring and go home. Just as people start to leave, the silver-haired youth and his companion step forward to stop them. The student leader, Kai Ji, is shocked to see Chu Sheng still there. Chu Sheng stands in the center of the circle and asks Kai Ji if he is surprised to see him. Kai Ji nervously claims he does not know what Chu Sheng is talking about. Without warning, Chu Sheng tells him to cut the act and slaps him across the face. The other students are stunned, asking why Chu Sheng would dare to hit Kai Ji. Kai Ji holds his cheek in disbelief, wondering how the two men he sent failed to kill Chu Sheng. Chu Sheng warns him that he will deal with him later. As Kai Ji walks away, the student leader glares back, his cheeks swollen, and mutters they will see who deals with whom. He Shang-Gufu once again tells the villagers to stop standing around and return to their homes. Chu Sheng interrupts, asking the village head why he is in such a rush since they are not done yet. The man tells the two students they are late, as the aberrations have already been killed. Kai Ji adds that Chu Sheng has already cleared out the village, so it is useless to keep everyone there. Chu Sheng smirks, asking what would happen if Kai Ji did not manage to get all of them. Kai Ji scoffs, stating that his A-rank talent allows him to perceive eerie objects with full confidence. He tells the village head to go back first and ignore Chu Sheng's claims. He Shang-Gufu turns to leave with the other villagers, deciding to follow the student's advice. But as he walks away, Chu Sheng swiftly strikes him on the back of the neck, shouting 80. He Sheng Gufu glares back in anger, stunned by the sudden and powerful attack from the young man. The other students are furious, demanding to know why Chu Sheng attacked the village head. The silver-haired youth calmly explains that He Sheng Gufu is the real aberration they are hunting. Kaiji immediately refutes this, yelling that his scan already confirmed the man is just an ordinary human. Chu Sheng stands over the fallen man, asking him if he is going to continue pretending. The village head clutches his bleeding head, nervously asking if the student knows what he is doing. Ignoring him completely, Chu Sheng strikes him again with another powerful blow from his weapon. His own companion watches in disbelief, thinking his friend is being too impulsive. He then kicks the man on the ground, still demanding that he drop the act and reveal his true form. Kaiji shouts from the side, accusing the youth of committing murder in public. Standing over the unconscious body, Chu Sheng notes that the man still has not transformed. At that moment, Kaiji orders everyone to capture Chu Sheng, giving them permission to kill him if he resists. Suddenly, a group of armed officers from the Exorcism Bureau runs into the ritual circle. The other students recognize Captain Shu Yu and are relieved that the authorities have finally arrived. Kaiji approaches the captain, introducing himself and reporting that a murder is in progress. However, the captain walks right past him and firmly grabs Chu Sheng by the arm. The man smiles warmly, telling the young man that he has finally found him after a long search. Chu Sheng is completely confused by this interaction and asks the captain if they know each other. Kaiji watches the scene unfold, his expression filled with shock and disbelief. His followers are equally baffled, wondering why the captain is being so polite to Chu Sheng. The captain explains they witnessed his impressive methods when he dealt with Granny Kai that day. He reveals they have been searching for him ever since. Hearing this, Chu Sheng finally understands the reason for the captain's sudden appearance and demeanor. The captain then takes out a golden, cross-shaped medal from his pocket. He presents it to Chu Sheng, explaining that it is a level 3 civilian medal for his contribution to the city. The other students are in disbelief, as that medal is only for saving hundreds of people. Kaiji interrupts, shouting that the captain has the wrong person because Chu Sheng is a murderer. The captain firmly denies this, stating that it is impossible for the young man to be a killer. Pointing at the body, Kaiji insists that Chu Sheng just killed the village head in front of everyone. The captain turns back to Chu Sheng, expressing his trust and asking for an explanation. Chu Sheng reveals that the man on the ground is the true aberration, and the others were just his creations. Kaiji scoffs at the claim, mocking him for trying to blame a dead man who cannot defend himself. To settle the matter, the captain orders one of his officers to go and check the body. The officer confirms the order and approaches the body of the village head on the floor. He pulls out a special device and scans the body, which emits a green light over the man. The students recognize the scanner as a rare and precious ghost detector from the Exorcism Bureau. After the scan is complete, the officer reports to his captain that the man is not an aberration. Kaiji smirks, boasting that his A-rank talent had already confirmed the man was just an ordinary human. He then demands that Chu Sheng be arrested immediately for the brutal murder he committed. The captain looks at Chu Sheng, asking if it is possible that he made a mistake and killed the wrong person. He pats his shoulder, reassuring him that as a medal holder he has immunity from his crime anyway. Chu Sheng dismisses their results, stating their test is inaccurate and that he will perform his own. The captain, looking intrigued, asks the young man what method he plans to use for his test. Chu Sheng kneels beside the body, declaring he will use his hammer to conduct his own test. The captain looks on with a nervous expression, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. Kaiji shouts that Chu Sheng is a monster, accusing him of desecrating the village head's body. The young man ignores him, raising his hammer and beginning to count out loud as he prepares to strike. Captain Shu becomes even more anxious, nervously suggesting that perhaps they should all take a break. Chu Sheng tells the captain to count for him, challenging that he will strike the body 666 times. Just as he swings, the body sits up, its face now covered in grotesque boils, and stops the hammer. Everyone stares in complete shock, stunned that the village head has somehow come back to life. The creature asks if Chu Sheng is even human, complaining that so many hits would crush him entirely. At the same time, one of the officers reports that the ghost detection device is finally reacting. Kaiji tries to comfort the village head, but the man's form begins to swell and transform. As the insect monster fully emerges, Kaiji warns Chu Sheng that his immunity will not save him from a lawsuit. The captain and the other students are left horrified and speechless by the sudden monstrous reveal. With a sinister smile, Kaiji turns to the creature and offers to help it deal with the situation. He turns back around, only to find the giant insectoid aberration towering menacingly over him. Before he can process what is happening, the monster's massive claws clamp down on his shoulder. The creature lifts him effortlessly, asking if it should eat him for being so trusting. Kaiji stares in horror at the monster's claws approaching his face and screams in terror. With its mouth wide open, the creature leans in close and demands a reason not to kill him. Held high in the monster's grip, the terrified student wets himself out of sheer fear. Disgusted, the monster calls Kaiji a waste of time and casually tosses him aside. Captain Shu steps forward, ordering all students to evacuate as the Exorcism Bureau takes over. The aberration laughs, declaring that since its identity is revealed, no one is leaving alive. With the situation escalating, the captain once again commands the students to leave the area immediately. The monster stands its ground, surrounded by villagers, and dares anyone to try and escape. At its command, the villagers around it begin to transform into various demonic creatures. The remaining students flee in terror, realizing that Chu Sheng had been telling the truth all along. The insectoid aberration reveals it used an expensive disguise potion to fool everyone. It boasts that within half a year, it would have turned the entire city into aberrations. Seeing the danger, Chu Sheng tells his companion that they should retreat as well, and his friend nods. The monster roars in anger, vowing to kill Chu Sheng for ruining its elaborate plans. As the creature charges, Captain Shu bravely leaps forward, drawing his sword to intercept it. The captain clashes with the aberration, his blade sparking against its tough exoskeleton. He quickly realizes this is a powerful and original aberration from the main eerie world. He orders his men to hold the line while the creature is distracted by the fight. The monster announces it will kill Chu Sheng first, then flies into the air to pursue him. Meanwhile, Chu Sheng and his companion are running through a dark alley, trying to escape. Suddenly, the giant insectoid creature lands in front of them, blocking their only path forward. The young man's friend is shocked at how quickly the aberration managed to catch up to them. The monster spreads its arms wide, its body glowing with a menacing green aura as it declares they cannot run. Thinking fast, Chu Sheng tells his companion to run to the side, trying to create an opening. The aberration scoffs, saying their efforts are futile as it can leap incredible distances in an instant. Ignoring the warning, Chu Sheng charges forward and throws one of his weapons at the monster. The weapon strikes the creature squarely in the head, creating a bright spark on impact. However, the aberration is completely unfazed, noting that even a real weapon failed to harm it. It mocks their attempt, pointing out the uselessness of their imitation weapons as the two continue to flee. Chu Sheng throws another larger weapon, hoping to buy them some time to escape. The attack hits its mark, but the monster remains unharmed, simply stating that they cannot escape. As they run, Chu Sheng's companion realizes this aberration is even stronger than the head nurse they fought before. Chu Sheng hands his friend two weapons, telling him they should split up to increase their chances. The young man tells his friend that the aberration will definitely chase him, giving him a chance to get away. They part ways, but the monster immediately appears in front of both of them, blocking their escape. Now cornered, Chu Sheng hopes they can hold out long enough for the captain to arrive and help. Suddenly, his companion stops running and drops his weapons on the ground with a loud clatter. He raises his hands in the air and shouts to the aberration that he surrenders. Chu Sheng looks at his friend in confusion, asking what he is doing at a time like this. The aberration is also baffled, saying this is the first time a human has ever surrendered to it. The young man begs the creature to turn him into an aberration as well, so he can join its side. The monster agrees, telling him that after his transformation, he must kill Chu Sheng himself. Overjoyed, the young man thanks the aberration and bows down to it in gratitude. Pleased by this obedient display, the aberration crosses its arms and says it likes his attitude. But as it stands there, the monster suddenly recoils, feeling a sharp and unexpected pain in its chest. It clutches the wound, demanding to know what is happening and who is responsible for the attack. Still kneeling, the young man clasps his hands and begins wishing the aberration a happy birthday. He then slams his head into the wet pavement, performing a loud and forceful kowtow. The aberration flinches again, feeling another sharp jolt of pain that coincides with the impact. It stares at the young man, finally realizing that his strange actions are the source of the attacks. His friend rises to his knees, now wishing the monster a good journey and a swift demise. The creature panics, holding out its scythe-like arms as it desperately orders him to stop. Ignoring the command, the young man slams his head into the ground one last time with all his might. The final kowtow severs one of the monster's arms and leaves a deep bleeding gash on its torso. Having used all his life force, the companion collapses onto the pavement as Chu Sheng calls his name. With his dying breath, the young man tells his friend to go and kill the aberration. The creature stumbles back, clutching its wound, and accuses them of tricking it with a sneak attack. Enraged by his friend's sacrifice, Chu Sheng declares that he will fight the monster to the end. He leaps into the air and slashes downwards, striking the wounded creature with both his weapons. Landing firmly on his feet, he tells the monster to get lost as it staggers back from the blow. The aberration is shocked to be so heavily injured, but vows that no one can stop it from leaving. It glares at them with pure hatred, warning them to just wait for its inevitable return. Lying on the ground, the young man weakly taunts the monster, asking it to accept one more kowtow. The terrified creature flies up, begging him to stop, fearing that one more hit will be fatal. With his last bit of strength, the young man performs one final kowtow, wishing the monster a painful end. The aberration is instantly engulfed in a dark, bloody energy, letting out a final, agonizing scream. As the energy dissipates, the monster's lifeless body falls from the sky and crashes to the ground. Fueled by rage, Chu Sheng lets out a powerful roar and charges toward the fallen creature. He declares that he will kill the monster to avenge his brother's sacrifice. He begins pummeling the aberration's head with his fists, striking it again and again without mercy. The creature's head cracks under the force of the blows, and it begs him to stop. Chu Sheng ignores its pleas, raising his hammer to deliver the final decisive blow. The aberration warns him that its clan is powerful and killing it will lead to endless pursuit. The young man scoffs at the threat, asking if the monster really thinks he cares about its warning. Desperate, the creature offers to spare his life if he lets it go, suggesting they can be friends. Chu Sheng rejects the offer with a curse and smashes the aberration's head with his hammer. He looks down at the defeated monster, finally relieved that it is dead after a long and brutal fight. But just as he relaxes, a red parasitic creature erupts from the monster's corpse and curses him. The parasite burrows into Chu Sheng's chest, causing a burst of red energy to flare from the wound. Suddenly, the spirit girl appears beside him, holding a glowing red apple in her hands. She explains that the curse can only be cast by high-level aberrations and asks if he can resolve it. The girl admits she cannot remove the curse, but she can temporarily contain it to stop its effects. Chu Sheng curses the dead monster for being so difficult to kill and for its final act of vengeance. Chu Sheng tells the spirit girl to absorb the insectoid aberration's remains while he checks on his friend. He rushes to his companion's side, asking if he is okay, and the young man weakly replies that he is still alive. Helping him up, Chu Sheng asks what happened, amazed that his kowtowing nearly killed the monster. His friend explains that it is his newly awakened talent, a special skill called kowtow kill. Chu Sheng gives him a thumbs up, impressed by his friend's unique and powerful ability. Meanwhile, the spirit girl absorbs the dark energy from the aberration's corpse into a black orb. Chu Sheng suggests they check the monster's memories, hoping to find a clue to break his curse. The orb reveals a memory of the aberration reporting to a powerful, shadowy figure on a throne. In the vision, the aberration tells its father that the human world is ripe for the taking. The father figure grants him permission to go but warns him not to underestimate the ghost tamers. Confident in its abilities, the monster promises to conquer a human city for its father in 3 months. Back in the present, the group realizes this aberration came from an important and powerful lineage. At that moment, Captain Shu and his men finally arrive at the scene, having heard the commotion. A strange, ghostly substance passes from the wounded young man into Chu Sheng's body. The captain runs up to them, asking if Chu Sheng is all right after the intense battle. The young man reassures him, explaining that he managed to take down the original aberration. The officers are stunned to hear that he not only stopped the monster but also killed it. The captain pats his shoulder, praising him for his great achievement and hidden skills. Chu Sheng smirks, asking just how great his contribution was this time. The captain explains that he not only saved the village but also the entire city from a terrible fate. Chu Sheng asks if the upgraded medal comes with any special privileges, like protection from other ghost tamers. The captain explains that a level 1 medal signifies a hero of the clan, granting immunity from any attack. Hearing this, Chu Sheng feels a sense of relief and understanding about his new status. As he and his companions start to walk away, the captain quickly runs after them, saying he needs to talk. He reveals there is another urgent reason he was looking for the young man so desperately. Chu Sheng listens intently, giving the captain his full attention as he prepares to hear the news. The captain explains that a dangerous, eerie realm known as the Time Witch is about to descend upon the city. He adds that his bureau has tried to conquer it multiple times but has failed with each attempt. Their investigation revealed a connection between the Time Witch and Granny Kai, the aberration Chu Sheng defeated. He turns to the young man, admitting that he is likely the only person who can save the city now. Chu Sheng looks away, regretfully informing the captain that he is unable to help with this mission. He explains that it is not that he does not want to help, but he is unable to enter the eerie main world. The captain is completely taken aback, his jaw dropping in disbelief as he asks for an explanation. Chu Sheng reveals that he has not yet become a true official ghost tamer. The captain and his men are stunned into silence, unable to believe what they are hearing. He sighs, realizing he had forgotten that Chu Sheng is still just a student at the academy. One of the officers questions how he could have killed Granny K without being a ghost tamer. The captain remarks that this only proves Chu Sheng's immense, unparalleled talent. As Chu Sheng and his friend walk away, the captain calls out to them again, not ready to give up. Back at the village entrance, one of the students boasts that he knew the village head was suspicious all along. He complains that all his hard work was ruined by Chu Sheng's interference in his plans. The other students quickly agree, praising him for his brilliant strategy to resolve the situation with minimal cost. KG continues his rant, blaming Chu Sheng for letting the village head transform all the villagers. One of the students wonders why Chu Sheng has not returned yet from his confrontation with the monster. With a smug grin, KG says that the aberration probably ate him, so he is not coming back. At that moment, Chu Sheng and his group walk up, and he sarcastically asks if he should call KG Dad. The student leader is shocked and furious to see that his rival has once again survived. Chu Sheng looks at him with a deadpan expression, asking if he really wanted him to die that badly. KG points an accusatory finger, yelling that Chu Sheng almost ruined everything they had planned. The young man responds by slapping him hard across the face, asking if he has any shame. Clutching his cheek in pain and disbelief, KG shouts at him for daring to hit him again. Chu Sheng kicks him to the ground, reminding him that this is not the first time he has done so. The other students watch in shock as their leader is effortlessly beaten down on the street. KG struggles to get up, asking his classmates if they are just going to stand there and watch. One of them steps forward, warning Chu Sheng that he will be punished for attacking a fellow student. Chu Sheng ignores the warning and tells KG it is time for them to settle their score. KG looks up in fear, a bead of sweat rolling down his face as he asks what he means. With a cold and determined look, Chu Sheng simply replies that he is going to kill him. Panicked, KG offers 100 coins to anyone who is brave enough to come and save him. A large, muscular student pushes through the crowd, saying that he will handle this situation. Chu Sheng raises his hammer high, a dark energy swirling around him as KG watches with a nervous smile. The muscular student senses the dangerous aura emanating from the weapon and immediately backs away. With his hammer still raised, Chu Sheng asks the burly student what he wants from him. The student drops to the ground and performs a kowtow, saying he is just here to greet him. KG looks on in disbelief, utterly betrayed by the person he thought was coming to his rescue. Chu Sheng turns his attention back to KG, reminding him that he has ignored his warnings. He then swings his hammer with incredible force, aiming directly for his rival's leg. The weapon connects with a sickening crack, shattering the bone in KG's leg instantly. The student leader screams in agony, his face contorted in pain as he clutches his broken limb. Chu Sheng calmly reminds him of his promise that he would die if he ever provoked him again. He follows up with another swift kick, breaking the student's other leg without any hesitation. The other students watch in terror, realizing that Chu Sheng has a truly terrifying side to him. KG cries out in pain, desperately calling for someone to notify his parents and grandfather. Chu Sheng raises his hammer one last time, declaring that no one can save him now. He swings down with all his might, a dark and bloody aura surrounding his weapon as he aims for the final blow. The attack lands between KG's legs, shattering an egg and causing him to scream in unimaginable pain. The student's face is a mask of pure agony, tears streaming down his face as he howls in torment. He begs for his life, admitting that he was wrong and promising to never cross him again. Chu Sheng leans in close, his expression cold and emotionless as he asks what he did wrong. Lying on the ground in a pool of his own blood, KG confesses to his crimes and begs for forgiveness. Unmoved by his apology, Chu Sheng coldly tells him that it is too late for regrets. The onlookers are horrified, realizing that Chu Sheng has just killed a descendant of a powerful ghost tamer family. Suddenly, a man on a white horse descends from the sky, crying out for his son in despair. The muscular student recognizes him as K Tien, KG's father and a famous ghost tamer. The man dismounts his horse, his eyes filled with a cold fury as he demands to know where his son is. Chu Sheng gestures to the lifeless body on the ground, calmly telling him that his son is right there. The father's face contorts with rage as he asks what has happened to his beloved child. With a steely gaze, Chu Sheng simply replies that he is dead, showing no remorse for his actions. Enraged, the man demands to know who is responsible for his son's death, his voice trembling with fury. Chu Sheng stands tall, his aura radiating power as he boldly claims responsibility for the act. The father roars in anger, demanding to know why the young man would dare to kill his son. Chu Sheng plays a recording of KG's confession, letting the man hear his son's own words. He then asks if the man heard it, explaining that his son tried to kill him, so he returned the favor. The father scoffs at the explanation, declaring that his son can kill him, but he cannot fight back. Another young man clenches his fist in anger, saying that KG's words prove his son deserved to die. With a final roar of fury, the father leaps from his horse, vowing to kill Chu Sheng himself. Captain Shu rushes forward, trying to intervene and stop the man from making a grave mistake, but the father is too fast, landing a powerful punch that sends Chu Sheng skidding back. He points a finger at the young man, asking if he is not afraid of dying right here and now. Chu Sheng scoffs at the threat, revealing a glowing, cross-shaped medal on his chest as he says the man cannot kill him. The father's body begins to dissolve into paper, revealing that he is just a clone made of paper talismans. The other students are shocked, realizing that KG did not come in person and sent a clone instead. The paper clone vows to get his revenge once he returns from the eerie main world. He then leaps into the air and rides his horse away, promising that Chu Sheng will pay for what he has done. Captain Shu is amazed, asking how Chu Sheng knew that the man was just a paper clone. With a sly grin, the young man simply replies that it was just a lucky guess on his part. He then reveals that his spirit companion had told him, as she could not sense the unique aura of a ghost tamer. The captain remarks that Chu Sheng is bold for confronting the man, even if he was just a clone. The young hero then turns to the captain, asking if he knows anything about curses and how to break them. Captain Shu explains that only high-level original aberrations can cast curses, and they are always powerful. Chu Sheng asks the most important question: how can he break the curse that has been placed on him? The captain tells him he must go to the eerie main world and find the source of the curse to break it. With a determined look, Chu Sheng understands that his first step must be to enter the eerie main world. Back at the academy, he walks through the courtyard, lost in thought about his next move. A pink-haired girl calls out to him, waving her hand to get his attention as she approaches. He turns around, recognizing her as Jing Ziyi, and asking if she needs something from him. She explains that she just returned from the eerie world and heard the news about him and Kai Ji. She winks at him, offering her protection and assuring him that the Kai family will not dare to touch her people. Chu Sheng gives her a thumbs up, impressed by her domineering and confident attitude. She playfully scolds him for being so formal, leaning in close as she reminds him of their closeness. Chu Sheng is flustered, unsure of what she expects him to call her instead of her name. With a devilish grin, she tells him to call her master from now on, enjoying his discomfort. He is taken aback by her bold demand, his face turning a shade of purple as he processes her words. He quickly changes the subject, asking if she really just returned from the eerie main world. She confirms with a confident smile, clearly proud of her recent accomplishment and newfound status. He asks how she, a quasi-ghost tamer, managed to enter the eerie main world on her own. She explains that she passed the Ghost Gate trial, which instantly promoted her to a full ghost tamer. She then summons her contracted puppet, a tall skeleton warrior, and asks if he is impressed. Chu Sheng is more interested in the trial, asking how he can participate in it himself. The girl explains that it is a dangerous trial only open to those with recommendations. She advises him to forget about it, suggesting he stick to accumulating points and being her servant. She adds that the regular Ghost Tamer exam will be much easier than the difficult Ghost Gate trial. He thanks her for the information and turns to leave, his mind already racing with new possibilities. She calls out to him, asking where he is going in such a hurry, a hint of concern in her voice. He waves back without turning, simply telling her that he is going back to his room to sleep. She warns him that the Kai family will not leave him alone, but he seems unfazed by the threat. He confidently replies that he is used to being on top, a smirk playing on his lips as he walks away. The girl stomps her foot in frustration, annoyed by his stubbornness and refusal to accept her help. Alone, Chu Sheng realizes he must find a way into the eerie main world within half a month. At the school gate, a group of students arrives, one of them declaring that this is the place. A young woman with blonde hair wonders to herself how the kid she knows is doing after not seeing him for a few days. A man approaches and greets her, calling her old Magu, much to her annoyance. She glares at him, angrily asking who he is calling old, her patience clearly wearing thin. The man immediately apologizes, his face filled with fear as he begs her not to be angry with him. An old man with a pipe joins the conversation, agreeing that she is old and just pretends to be young. Enraged, the woman threatens to sew his mouth shut if he does not stop talking immediately. The first man steps between them, trying to calm the situation and asking why she is in the city. She dismisses his question, saying she is not interested in the old news human head balloon case. She explains that she found a promising new talent in the city and came to check on him. The man asks if she is referring to Jing Zi, a well-known and talented student at the academy. She admits that the Jing girl is good, but not good enough to warrant a special trip from her. The old man scoffs, doubting that there could be any truly promising talents in such a remote place. She confidently tells him to wait and see, promising to prove him wrong when he meets the boy. The group then walks down the school hallway, their footsteps echoing in the quiet building. The woman stops in front of a door, declaring that this is the place as she senses the boy's presence. Inside the dorm room, Chu Sheng is gently stroking the spirit girl's hair, trying to bond with her. He notes that improving his intimacy with his puppet is important, and he can feel their connection growing. Suddenly, the spirit girl looks up, sensing the arrival of a powerful ghost tamer nearby. A loud knock on the door startles Chu Sheng, and he quickly absorbs the spirit girl back into his body. He cautiously approaches the door, asking who is there before opening it to see who is outside. The old man looks at Chu Sheng, skeptically asking if this is the promising talent she was talking about. Chu Sheng recognizes the old man and asks if he is here to sell more of his eerie weapons. The old man grunts in annoyance, clearly not pleased to see the young man who outsmarted him before. The woman asks if they know each other, surprised by the unexpected connection between the two. The man with them explains that the old man is in a bad mood because of Chu Sheng's cheap purchase. The woman laughs, revealing that the young man has awakened an S-class talent, making him lucky with money. She greets him again, and this time he pretends not to remember ever meeting her before. She summons a mummy-like puppet, asking if he recognizes her now, and he immediately remembers her. He greets her respectfully as the senior who invigilated his exam, much to her amusement. The old man is shocked to hear that the young man has awakened an S-class talent. The woman explains that his talent is a nethercoin crit refund, which is not useful in combat. The old man scoffs, calling him a waste and questioning how he could be considered a good prospect. The woman then reveals that during his awakening test, he not only cleared the eerie realm but also got a new weapon. The man is impressed, admitting that clearing the entire realm is a feat few can accomplish. She adds that he also successfully contracted a puppet and escaped the pursuit of a powerful figure. She concludes by saying he completed the eerie realm with a score of 120%, a remarkable achievement. The man is stunned, realizing that even a seasoned ghost tamer would struggle to do what Chu Sheng did. The woman smirks at the old man, asking if he still thinks she made a mistake in her judgment. The old man finally relents, admitting that the young man does indeed have the style he had in his youth. The man explains that the reason he brought them here is to participate in the Ghost Gate trial. The woman glares at him, calling him shameless for trying to take credit for Chu Sheng's accomplishments. Chu Sheng turns to the woman, asking why she has come to see him this time. She smiles, telling him to call her little sister instead of senior, a playful glint in her eyes. The old man scoffs, saying he should be calling her grandma instead, which earns him an angry glare. The man tells Chu Sheng that despite his seemingly useless talent, he has high hopes for his future. The woman extends an invitation, saying he can join her elite squad once he enters the eerie main world. The man is shocked, knowing that she rarely ever invites anyone to join her prestigious team. He urges Chu Sheng to thank her, explaining that countless talented tamers would beg for such an opportunity. The young man politely thanks her for the generous offer, a grateful smile on his face. He then tells her he must be going, but she assures him he can always ask for her help in the future. Seizing the opportunity, he immediately says that he does in fact need her help with something. She is taken aback, admitting that she was just being polite and did not expect him to take her offer so literally. He grabs her arm, getting her attention as he looks at her with a serious and determined expression. He asks if she can recommend him for the Ghost Gate trial, his eyes filled with a desperate hope. She is shocked by his request, asking if he has a death wish for wanting to participate in such a dangerous trial. He nervously replies that he does want to live, but he sees the trial as his only viable option. She argues that only lunatics and those with super strong talents would ever attempt the Ghost Gate trial. She calls it a death wish, saying that it is not a place for someone like him to be seeking fame. The man with them then reminds her that she also participated in the Ghost Gate trial in her youth. She dismisses his comments, saying she was different because she had confidence in her own abilities. She tries to persuade him to listen to her, gently touching his chest as she speaks. He pulls away, telling her with a firm and unwavering gaze that he has confidence in himself. She looks at him with a serious expression, asking if he is truly certain about his decision. He nods, his resolve unshaken as he confirms that he is absolutely serious about the trial. She turns away, refusing his request and saying that she cannot be the one to lead him to his doom. Suddenly, a dark, swirling vortex of red energy appears in the sky above the school. The man recognizes the technique as belonging to Kai Tian, a powerful ghost tamer from the Kai family. The old man adds that the Kai family is one of the top ghost tamer families in the region. The group stands together, wondering who could have provoked such a powerful and influential family. The old man muses that there must be other powerful ghost tamers hidden in the area that he did not sense. Chu Sheng nervously scratches the back of his head, admitting that Kai Tian is actually there for him. The man looks at him in disbelief, a shocked expression on his face as he processes the information. He asks how the young man managed to provoke such a powerful and dangerous figure as Kai Tian. Chu Sheng bluntly replies that he killed his son, a bead of sweat rolling down his face as he speaks. Kai Tian appears in the sky, his body surrounded by a menacing red aura as he glares down at them. He taunts Chu Sheng, asking where he thinks he can run to now that he has arrived in person. The young man looks up defiantly, asking which of his eyes saw him trying to run away. The man's clone dissolves into paper, summoning a giant warrior with a massive spiked mace. The warrior raises its weapon high, preparing to bring it down with devastating force upon the group. The students look up in awe and terror at the immense power being displayed before them. The old man with the pipe remarks that the Kai family's reputation is as bad as he heard, accusing them of trying to kill everyone. The woman with blonde hair angrily points forward, scolding the man in the sky for not paying attention to who is standing below. She then unleashes a powerful beam of golden energy from a portal, directing it straight at the attacker. Kai Tian looks down in disbelief, shocked by the sudden and powerful counterattack heading his way. The beam strikes him directly, the force of the impact sending him hurtling toward the ground below. A bright flash erupts as he hits the pavement, with the youth and the woman watching the aftermath calmly. Struggling to get up, Kai Tian demands to know how they dared to attack him, his face filled with rage. As he looks up, his expression shifts to one of nervous shock as he finally recognizes who is there. He stares at the woman, realizing in horror that she is the senior known as Ma Gu. The old man with the pipe then approaches, asking Kai Tian if he has finally learned his lesson. The attacker's eyes widen even more as he recognizes the old man, calling him Elder Tian in disbelief. His panic peaks when he sees the third figure, the deputy leader of a powerful alliance, also present. The deputy leader sternly warns Kai Tian to look before he acts next time, telling him not to injure anyone by mistake. Now humbled, the man stands before the powerful trio and asks what the three seniors are doing there. The woman glares at him, dismissively telling him that it is none of his business. He turns to her, asking if she will allow him to kill the youth to avenge his son. She turns away with her arms crossed, coldly stating that she has no objection to his request. Feeling empowered, Kai Tian faces the youth, calling him a peasant, unworthy of killing his son. With a furious roar, he charges forward, determined to end the young man's life himself. However, before he can land a blow, the woman intervenes, striking him with a powerful blast that sends him flying. Lying on the ground, Kai Tian asks why she attacked him when she had just said she had no objections. The woman retorts that she still has no objections to what he wants to do. Clutching his swollen cheek, the man asks in confusion why she hit him then. She simply states that she just finds him unpleasant to look at, leaving him utterly speechless. Defeated, Kai Tian bows, saying he understands the situation and will take his leave now. As he walks away, he glares at the youth, vowing to kill him once the seniors are no longer around. The young man calmly replies that he will not be able to kill him next time either. Flying away, the man tells him he hopes he can maintain his tough attitude forever. The deputy leader warns the youth that it is easy for a tamer family to kill a quasi-tamer. He explains that escaping the Kai family's pursuit will be extremely difficult for him now. The woman offers him a recommendation letter to enter the eerie world as a path to survival. The young man bows respectfully, thanking the senior for her generous help and the opportunity. 3 days later, the city skyline appears under a calm sky as time passes. Inside a room, Chu Sheng stretches his back, preparing for the journey ahead. His companion appears in the hallway, calling out that he will go with him on this new mission. The youth tells him it is not necessary, as he cannot enter the trial without a recommendation letter. His friend puts an arm around his shoulder, insisting it would be boring to go alone. Suddenly, the old man from before appears in front of them, telling Chu Sheng to wait. The young man turns around, asking the elder why he has come to see him now. The elder holds out a strange black and purple orb, telling him to take it with him. Holding the strange orb in his hand, the young man looks at the elder and asks what it is. The old man explains that it is a small defensive gadget he made, which could be a lifesaver during the trial. The youth looks at him with suspicion, wanting to know what Elder Tian expects in return for such a valuable item. The elder acknowledges his sharp intuition and says he will be direct with his request. He reveals his granddaughter is also taking the trial and asks the youth to help her if she encounters any danger. Chu Sheng agrees to the arrangement, asking the man to show him a photo of his granddaughter so he can find her. The old man proudly describes his granddaughter as a beautiful and unique girl who will easily stand out in any crowd. With the deal settled, the young man takes the orb and tells the elder that they are now leaving. As they walk away, the elder thinks to himself that this boy must be special, providing extra insurance for his granddaughter's safety. Later, a lone train cuts through a desolate landscape under a blood-red sky and a crescent moon. Inside one of the train cars, his companion excitedly remarks that this is his first time leaving Cold City. Chu Sheng looks out the window at floating head-shaped balloons, observing that they have grown in size and number. His friend agrees but says the city walls protect them, so the creatures pose no immediate threat. The youth speculates that the powerful elders came to handle this, sensing a great danger was approaching. Suddenly, his companion's expression turns to terror as he points out the window, telling him to look. Chu Sheng turns and is shocked to see a massive mountain formed entirely from a pile of white bones. His friend stares in horror, wondering how many people must have died to create such a horrifying sight. A man with glasses sitting nearby calmly asks the two young men if this is their first time seeing the Bone Mountain. He smiles, admitting that he was just as shocked and terrified as they are the first time he saw it. The man continues that this is simply the reality of their world now, and eventually they will get used to it. Chu Sheng's companion asks if there are more bone mountains like this one around. The man explains that such sights are common, as countless humans die every year with no way to properly dispose of the bodies. He continues that the bodies are simply piled up in empty spaces, eventually forming these gruesome mountains. The youth closes his eyes, realizing that the human race is in a far more dire situation than he had ever imagined. The man states that the arrival of the eerie world is essentially the apocalypse, but more tamers are now fighting back. He believes that to truly stop the invasions, they must explore the eerie world and solve the problem at its source. His eyes narrow with determination as he speaks of stopping the descent of the eerie realms once and for all. Chu Sheng agrees, acknowledging that the eerie main world is the origin of all their troubles. The man with glasses then turns to the two youths, asking where they are heading on their journey. The young man confidently replies that he is on his way to participate in the Ghost Gate trial. The man is surprised, asking if he intends to enter the eerie main world ahead of schedule. Chu Sheng confirms this, his expression firm and unwavering as he looks at the man. The man bows deeply, saluting him and entrusting the future of the human race to his generation. The youth responds that it is their duty to do whatever it takes to ensure humanity's survival. As they disembark, the man introduces himself as Lu Wen and hands the youth his business card. He tells them to visit him if they are ever in the provincial capital, offering his assistance. The two friends wave goodbye, saying they will see him again if they get the chance. Walking away, Chu Sheng's companion notes that the man works at the Third Research Institute, a place he has never heard of. The youth dismisses it for now, deciding to focus on the immediate task of the Ghost Gate trial. Arriving at the location, they are surprised to see so many other people gathered there, despite the trial's dangerous reputation. Chu Sheng expresses his confusion, wondering why so many middle-aged people are present when he expected only talented youths. A young man with orange hair named Lin Tu explains that for them, the trial is their last hope to become ghost tamers. His companion asks what he means by their last hope. Lin Tu elaborates that these older individuals have awakened very low-level talents and cannot become true tamers through normal means. They have spent a fortune on recommendation letters, hoping that passing the risky trial will allow them to ascend. Chu Sheng's friend then turns to the orange-haired youth, asking if he is also here to take a risky shortcut. The young man pinches the bridge of his nose in annoyance, chiding him for his lack of tact. He then adds that another reason for the trial's popularity is the immense attention it garners, attracting famous tamer squads. His friend scratches his head, questioning if joining a tamer squad is really that important. Lin Tu stresses that a strong team not only ensures safety but also accelerates one's growth, while weak teams face annihilation. Suddenly, a voice from atop a cliff shouts for silence, grabbing the attention of everyone in the crowd. With the trial about to begin, the orange-haired youth formally introduces himself as Lin Tu, his companion introduces himself as Zhang Ribs, and his friend as Chu Sheng. Looking at a group of powerful figures, Zhang Ribs remarks that for them, the trial is a chance to become famous. Lin Tu clarifies that these individuals, descendants of great families and exceptionally talented tamers, are the true participants. He explains with a smile that only they have the best chance of actually passing the Ghost Gate trial. The announcer declares the trial is starting and instructs everyone to prepare to select their eerie realm. Zhang Ribs looks up in surprise, realizing the trial involves more than just one realm. Lin Tu explains that the trial has been around for a long time and includes many different instances. Meanwhile, one of the elite participants scoffs, stating that the more dangerous the realm, the better it is to weed out the weak. Suddenly, bloody handprints appear on spectral panels, signifying the selection of the eerie realm. The participants stare in stunned silence, their faces filled with dread as they realize what has been chosen. Zhang Ribs looks around, confused by the sudden quiet, and asks what is wrong with everyone. Lin Tu's face is pale with sweat as he laments that they have drawn the horror high school realm. One of the older participants nervously points out that the probability of getting this specific realm was supposed to be low. Lin Tu explains that Horror High School is the most fatal instance in the entire trial, with a survival rate of nearly 0. A man immediately declares he is quitting, stating that everyone who entered the last 3 times was wiped out. Others agree, saying it is better to walk away than to face certain death, despite their long preparations. One of the middle-aged men complains that his expensive recommendation letter will go to waste. Even the elite participant decides to withdraw, admitting that while he is confident, the Horror High School is too much of a risk. He tells his follower that their recommendation letters are worthless compared to their lives, and they can always try again next time. The announcer states that the portal to the eerie realm will close in 3 minutes, urging those who wish to enter to hurry. Without hesitation, Chu Sheng tells his friend that he is going in. His friends look at him in disbelief, shocked that he would still dare to enter the deadly realm. Zhang Ribs pleads with him to reconsider, suggesting he wait for the next trial instead. The youth turns away, stating that he does not have the luxury of time. He confidently believes that with his system's shop, the Horror High School might not be as dangerous for him. His friends can only watch in amazement, remarking that he truly does not fear death. The remaining onlookers are equally shocked, calling him too young and naive to understand the true horror he is about to face. As he leaps into the portal, the announcer calls out that his courage is commendable. Approaching the portal, Chu Sheng is stopped by the announcer, who asks for his recommendation letter. The young man hands over the letter, and the announcer takes it without a word. The announcer is surprised to see that he was recommended by Mamoru, noting it is the first time she has ever done so. He wishes the youth good luck, a hint of respect in his voice as he lets him pass. Just as Chu Sheng is about to enter, his friend calls out for him to wait and runs towards him. The youth turns around, asking his friend why he has followed him to the portal. Zhang Ribs bows and presents his own recommendation letter to the surprised announcer. He tells his friend that he is going in with him, asking where he got the letter from. He explains that he bought one at the last minute from someone who had decided to quit. Chu Sheng looks at him with concern, asking if he has really thought his decision through. His friend is resolute, saying he wants to change his useless life and is ready to face death. Moved by his determination, the youth agrees, and they decide to enter the portal together. The two friends leap into the swirling vortex, ready to face whatever dangers lie ahead. Inspired by their bravery, one of the older men decides that he will also take the risk. Cursing his hesitation, he declares that he is all in and jumps into the portal as well. The announcer calls out that there is only 1 minute left for anyone else who wishes to enter. The remaining participants decide to leave, convinced that no one can survive the Horror High School. Arriving in the new realm, Zhang Ribs looks around a school campus, remarking that it does not seem so different. A notification appears, informing Chu Sheng that the optional store in his system is now open. He is surprised to see the store can even recommend suitable items based on his current situation. The system recommends an item called Hint for Everything, which costs 2,000 nether coins per minute. He recalls seeing this item before but found it too expensive, as he could only afford 5 minutes of use. However, a special offer appears, allowing him to purchase unlimited use within the current realm for a one-time price of 10,000 coins. He scratches his head, suspecting the system adjusted the price based on the exact amount of money he has. A confirmation screen appears, asking if he wants to accept the current one-time offer. Believing it is the best option for this realm, he accepts the offer and purchases the item. A golden aura surrounds him as the new ability activates, its energy flowing through his body. The system immediately provides a hint about a nearby basketball, warning him not to touch the untouchable item. At that moment, his companion spots the basketball and walks towards it, ready to pick it up. Seeing the danger, Chu Sheng quickly shouts for his friend to stop, reaching out a hand to halt him. His friend turns around in confusion, asking what is wrong and why he is yelling. The youth warns him that everything in this place is dangerous and should not be touched lightly. Suddenly, more people appear on the court, their arrival marked by a flash of red light. Zhang Ribs looks around, surprised to see that more participants have entered the realm after all. A confident young man named Gu Tianhao boasts that not everyone is brave enough to challenge the horror high school like him. He declares to the group that his goal is to be the very first person to successfully clear this notorious realm. Another participant recognizes him as the young master of the Gu family, a clan of famous ghost tamers. The man, whose name is Yang Deming, thanks the young master for his inspiring words. The young master dismisses him, simply calling him Yellow Hair and saying his name is not important. The man eagerly agrees, saying that whatever the young master likes is fine with him. Zhang Ribs looks at the man with disdain, calling him a bootlicker for his fawning behavior. Lin Tu warns him not to underestimate anyone who dared to enter this realm, as none of them are simple. He then admits that he entered on a whim and is now starting to regret his impulsive decision. A disembodied voice echoes through the sky, welcoming all the participants to the horror high school. A man and a woman in business attire look up, knowing that the mission is about to be announced. The voice reveals that a student named Wang Yichen has gone missing, and their task is to find him within 5 days. The announcement concludes with a chilling warning. If the mission fails, all participants will be eliminated. A man with a scar remarks that the penalty for failure lives up to the realm's deadly reputation. The woman in the suit asks the group if anyone has any thoughts or ideas on how to proceed. Lin Tu suggests that their first priority should be to determine if the missing student is still on school grounds. He notes that the school is not very large, so finding clues should be easy if he is still here. A girl in a pink dress adds that they should test if they can leave the school, though she doubts it is possible. The woman proposes they split up to search the campus while it is still light and regroup later to share information. The scarred man agrees with the plan, finding it to be a sound and logical approach. The woman then turns to the young master, asking for his opinion on their proposed strategy. He scoffs at the idea, calling their plan a complete waste of his valuable time. The woman's expression hardens as she asks him what he means by his dismissive comment. With a smug grin, he declares that he will be acting alone while they go about their search. He then turns to his follower, telling him it is time for them to leave the group. The man eagerly follows, shouting his approval as they walk away from the others. He stops and turns back with a sly grin, as if remembering something important. He offers the group a chance to follow him, but states he will only accept one person. The remaining participants stand in silence, none of them moving to take him up on his arrogant offer. His follower remarks that these people are ungrateful for rejecting such a life-saving opportunity. The young master scoffs, telling them not to come crying to him for help later when they are in trouble. With that final taunt, he and his follower walk past the group and leave them to their own devices. On an empty basketball court, a man with purple hair points to a lone basketball on the ground, wondering why it is there. Ignoring any potential danger, he bends down to pick up the ball, which seems to have a faint, ominous glow around it. But back on the court, the moment the man touches the ball, he is violently thrown to the ground as the basketball bounces away. A blond man in a red cape turns around in surprise, asking his companion on the floor what just happened. The injured man grimaces in pain, explaining that he twisted his ankle and cursing his terrible luck. Later, the remaining 8 participants gather on the court after 2 others have already left, and one suggests they split into groups of 4. A woman in a business suit readily agrees with the plan, announcing that everyone can form their own teams freely. A team of 4 quickly forms and starts to leave, saying they will all meet back at the same spot in 1 hour. This leaves the other 4 behind, and one of them complains that the group that just left was not being fair. The orange-haired man explains that the others were the oldest and strongest, and they deliberately grouped together, leaving the 4 youngest behind. Another member of the remaining group looks at the sky, noting that it is getting dark and that they should probably get started. However, a white-haired youth suddenly tells them to wait for a moment while he walks towards another basketball on the court. While he does that, the orange-haired man approaches the only girl in their group and asks what her name is. The girl with long pigtails turns to face him, calmly introducing herself as Duo Du. He smirks, commenting that she looks as harmless as a little rabbit and asks how she dared to enter this dangerous place alone. Annoyed, Du puts her hands on her hips, and confidently states that her talent is not weak at all. The man laughs condescendingly, challenging her to try and hit him to see if she can actually cause any pain. She simply replies okay, and at that moment, a giant green snake with its mouth wide open materializes beside her. The man's cocky demeanor vanishes instantly, replaced by sheer terror as he recoils from the lunging serpent. After the snake disappears, Do bows and apologizes for scaring him. The man, now composed, admits that her body, morphing talent is not only rare but also impressively strong. Meanwhile, the white-haired youth has managed to place the glowing basketball into a net bag without touching it. As he rejoins the others, one of his companions asks why he bothered to bring the strange ball with them. The youth simply replies that it will be useful and urges the group to get moving. They walk through the deserted school grounds, commenting on the unsettling silence and the complete lack of people. One of them points towards the classrooms, suggesting they should go over and take a look inside. Peering through a window, they see a classroom full of students sitting silently at their desks, as if studying. A member of the group feels the oppressive atmosphere, noting that it is strange that no one is talking at all. Just then, the school bell rings, and the orange-haired man points out that class has been dismissed. The white-haired youth decides that they should wait and try to ask some of the students for information. Soon after, students begin to file out of the school building, walking with blank expressions. A member of the group approaches a student and asks him if he happens to know a person named Wang Yi Chen. The student barely glances at him, flatly stating that he does not know the name before continuing on his way. The orange-haired man also tries to ask a couple of girls, but they too say they do not know and quickly walk away. He throws his hands up in frustration, complaining to the others that no one is paying any attention to them. Seeing that this approach is failing, the white-haired youth decides to activate his special ability. His eyes glow for a brief moment as he focuses his power on the passing students. A system message appears above one of the students, identifying him as an ordinary boy not worth wasting time on. The youth is pleased, realizing his powerful hint ability can even provide information about the people in this realm. The white-haired youth then tests his ability on one of his companions to see what information he can get. He realizes the hint system provides no information on his fellow players, concluding it is only effective on the realm's inhabitants. He then scans a passing female student, learning she is just an ordinary girl stressed by exams and uninterested in her surroundings. His companion notes that it seems most students are useless and unlikely to provide any valuable information. However, Chu Shang's attention is caught by another student, and a hint reveals this boy might know something important. The orange-haired man grows impatient, suggesting they leave and search elsewhere since the students are not talking. But Chu Shang tells his friends to go on without him, assuring them that he will find them later. After they leave, he quickly approaches the student he identified, calling out for him to wait. The student, Zhu Mingming, pauses but looks irritated, clearly not wanting to be bothered. As he starts to walk away again, the youth calls out his full name, ordering him to stop. This makes the student turn around in shock, and he asks how a complete stranger could know his name. The white-haired youth confidently states that he knows much more, including the fact that the student has been held back for 3 years. Zhu Mingming quickly denies everything, telling the youth he is mistaken and that he knows nothing at all. He starts to walk away but stops and nervously asks what the youth wants from him. The young man gives him an ultimatum, warning that he will not be allowed to leave if he refuses to cooperate. Calling him a psycho, the student turns his back, but the youth raises a hand, ready to use force. He then bonks the student on the head with a small hammer, dealing a minor but surprising blow. Zhu Mingming cries out in pain, grabbing the bump on his head and wondering if the stranger is serious. The youth smirks while tossing the hammer, threatening that the next hit will be twice as hard if he tries to run. Looking down with a defeated expression, the student admits that he is very different from the investigators who came before. Chu Shang's companions, who had returned, overhear the mention of previous investigators and are intrigued. The student explains that at least 3 groups of investigators have come to the school in the past 3 years. Chu Shang remains firm, declaring that once an investigation starts, it cannot be abandoned. It is either success or death. Realizing the youth's determination, The student relents and tells him to ask his questions quickly. The white-haired youth immediately asks about the whereabouts of the missing student, Wang Yi-chen. With a shrug, the student insists that he genuinely does not know where the missing person is. Chu Shang then asks which class Wang Yi-chen was in, to which the student replies that he was in Year 3, Class 2. Before he can ask anything else, the student interjects, asking how Wang Yi-chen went missing in the first place. The school bell rings again, and the student says he has to go back for evening self-study. As he leaves, he offers a free piece of advice, warning them not to go out at night, because it is extremely dangerous. With a final glance over his shoulder, he tells the youth never to look for him again. Back on the basketball court, the orange-haired man notices that the other group has finally returned. The woman in the suit walks up to their group and asks if they have discovered anything useful. One of the youths reports that the students are very resistant to talking with them, and many seem to be missing from the classrooms. The woman, looking thoughtful, simply asks if there is anything else they found out. Chu Shang then shares the information he gathered, stating that Wang Yi-chen was a student in Year 3, Class 2. A blonde woman from the other group recognizes the importance of this, noting that the warning about the night is likely a death rule. The white-haired youth turns the question back on them, asking what they managed to find out during their search. A muscular man from their group reveals that they explored the entire campus and drew a map to help with their future actions. An older man with glasses adds that he tried to leave the school grounds, but found it impossible, confirming the mission is confined to the campus. The blonde woman adds another crucial detail, mentioning that the school has very few teachers, and they barely saw any. Just as they finish sharing their findings, one of the girls alerts the group that someone is approaching them. A man in a disheveled shirt walks up to them, introducing himself as Director Liang, the dean of the school. He apologizes for the delay, explaining that he was in a meeting, and offers to arrange a place for them to stay. The woman in the suit smiles and thanks the director for his help. Director Liang gestures for them to follow him. As they walk, he notices there are only 8 of them and asks what happened to the other 2 investigators. The woman quickly replies that the other 2 are not with them, and tells the director not to worry about them. As they follow, Chu Shang calls out to the director and asks how much he knows about the missing student. But before the director can answer, a system hint warns the youth that the dean is cunning and will not speak the truth. True to the hint, the director claims he was recently appointed and does not know much about the school's affairs. He leads them to a large brick building, which appears to be a dormitory. He tells them to pick any room they like, adding that he will not go up with them as it is getting dark. As the director walks away, one of the investigators curses under his breath, realizing the dean is trying to trick them into going out at night. The orange-haired man shivers, commenting that it is getting colder, and suggests they all head inside. Chu Shang's hint ability activates again, revealing that the dormitory is abandoned and inhabited by dangerous beings that hunt and kill. Inside the dormitory hallway, the woman in the suit tells everyone to choose their own rooms for the night. The white-haired youth urges everyone to get some sleep so they can start searching for clues early in the morning. The orange-haired man then approaches Du and flirtatiously asks if she is scared and wants to share a room with him. Du clutches her hands together and says she is scared, while a menacing snake head appears on her arm once again. Terrified, the man quickly backs away, saying he was just joking and that he will stay by himself. Night falls over the school, casting the campus in an eerie red glow under a crescent moon. Inside their dorm room, Chu Shang's companion tells him he cannot sleep and asks if he is also awake. The white-haired youth suddenly shushes him, warning him to be quiet because he hears something outside. A moment later, a loud knock echoes from their room door. The companion wonders if it is one of their teammates and considers opening the door, but from the top bunk, a voice urgently tells him to stop and not to go near the door. The knocking continues for a moment, then abruptly stops, plunging the room back into silence. After a while, the companion gets up, noting that the person outside seems to have left, and asks who it could have been. The youth answers grimly, explaining that it was not one of their own, but one of the dorm's original residents. His friend is confused by the term, original residents, not understanding what he means. With a serious expression, Chu Shang clarifies revealing that the building is haunted by strange and dangerous beings. His companion is horrified, his face paling as he realizes the true danger they are in. The next morning, the sun rises over the school, signaling the start of the second day. The group gathers in the hallway, wondering why one of their members has not come out yet. The muscular man decides to go and check on him. He pushes open the door to the man's room and is immediately taken aback by what he sees inside. He stumbles back into the hallway with a look of shock, and the others ask him what is wrong. Inside the room, the missing man's body is seen hanging from the ceiling, lifeless. One of the men looks up in horror, realizing that the man is dead, and connecting it to the knocking from the previous night. The group gathers in the hallway, and one of them says that it was definitely the knocking that caused the death. The blonde woman remarks that someone dying on the very first night proves just how terrifying this school really is. The woman in the suit, however, shows no sympathy, calling it a low-level mistake for a veteran to make. She dismisses the incident and tells the group to get going, as they still have a mission to complete. Chu Sheng's companion urges him to leave as well, clearly frightened by the gruesome discovery, but the white-haired youth senses that something is not quite right about the situation. He activates his hint ability once again, looking up towards the room where the body was found. A system message appears, revealing that the deceased was a pitiful person killed by a strange charm. The youth is shocked by this new information, realizing a charm was involved in the death. The group gathers on the basketball court, and the woman in the suit reminds them they only have 4 days left to find clues. The blonde woman suggests they split up to cover more ground. As they separate, the youth's companion asks him where they should go. Chu Sheng decides they should go and check out Wang Yi Chen's classroom, Year 3, Class 2. Standing outside the classroom, a hint reveals that the students inside are all afraid, and the only way to find out why is to become a student. Peeking through the window, the companion notes that they probably will not find any clues just by looking from the outside. With a determined look, the white-haired youth decides they should go directly inside the classroom. The two of them walk into the room, but the students at their desks do not seem to react to their presence. The companion finds it odd that the students are completely unfazed by them entering the classroom. The youth's gaze scans the room until his hint ability highlights an empty desk, identifying it as Wang Yi Chen's seat. He confidently announces that he has found it. He turns to find the blonde woman from the other group sitting at the desk, who comments that they came as well. The white-haired youth recognizes her and confirms her presence. She introduces herself as John Yan, and he gives his name, Chu Sheng, as he sits down at a nearby desk. Zhun Yan smirks and asks him how he managed to find this specific classroom. He simply replies that he found out by asking around. She finds this amusing, saying he must be very lucky because she asked many people and no one would tell her anything. He then turns the question back to her, and she explains that she found the information by checking the school's archives. She adds that her biggest problem now is that the archives did not specify which desk belonged to the missing student. The youth coolly informs her that the desk he is currently sitting at is the one she is looking for. She scoffs at his claim, telling him that bragging is not a good habit for someone so young. He does not argue and instead tells her to look for herself, pointing to a textbook on the desk. She picks up the book and sees Wang Yi Chen's name written on it, realizing he was telling the truth. As she examines the book, the youth's hint ability activates, telling him to open it to page 50 to find something important. He exclaims that he has found a clue. When he opens the book to the specified page, he discovers a small, ornate key tucked between the pages. He picks up the key, wondering what it could possibly be for. A hint then reveals that the key can open Pandora's box, which contains a great deal of important information. He realizes that finding whatever this key opens will likely lead them to crucial information about the missing student. The blonde woman extends her hand with a smile, demanding that he give her the key. He turns away from her with a defiant look, thinking that he would rather give her a slap instead. She asks if he is always so rude when talking to beautiful women. He retorts, asking if she is always so shameless as to demand things from others. The woman argues that the key is a crucial item and that he is too young and inexperienced to handle it properly. He scoffs at her comment, confidently telling her that she will not think he is too young after she sees what he can do. She is taken aback by his crude remark blushing and looking flustered. Before their argument can escalate, the third member of their group tells them to stop and look at the blackboard. They turn to see the words, midterm exam, written in what looks like blood on the board. The other students in the room start to panic, expressing their fear and anxiety about the upcoming exam. Sensing danger, the blonde woman realizes something is wrong and tells the others they need to leave immediately. But before she can make a move, the classroom door slams shut, trapping them inside. A grotesque, disembodied head with glowing red eyes appears, announcing that the exam has begun and no one is allowed to leave. The youth's companion screams in terror, horrified by the sudden appearance of the floating head. The woman grits her teeth, realizing that they are now in a very troublesome situation. The monstrous head introduces itself as the exam proctor and warns that any student who fails will have to stay behind for remedial lessons. The white-haired youth now understands why they never saw any teachers. He realizes all the instructors in this school are monstrous beings. Meanwhile, the other students panic. One prays he passes while another shouts he would rather die than take remedial lessons. The grotesque proctor looms over the class. It instructs everyone to begin the test and write their answers on the blank paper. The first question appears in the air. It is a tricky math problem about finding a positive number from its two square roots. With a menacing grin, the floating head adds that they only have 10 seconds to answer, increasing the pressure on everyone. The blonde woman complains about the ridiculous question, wondering who would even attend classes like this anymore. Suddenly, she looks up with a confident expression and calmly states that the answer to the problem is 16. Her sudden confidence leaves the young man's companion completely baffled, looking at her in disbelief. She glances over at him and the white-haired youth, urging them to quickly write down 16 before time runs out. Trusting her, the young warrior quickly writes the number down on his paper, just as instructed. A moment later, the proctor's voice booms through the room, announcing that time is up for the first question. The number 16 is clearly visible on the paper, sitting on the youth's desk as he looks toward the front of the room. Without any delay, the monstrous head grins again and declares it is time for the next question. An even more complex mathematical equation appears, looking far more difficult than the previous problem. His companion begins to sweat, admitting that while he barely understood the last one, this new equation is completely incomprehensible. He looks over in shock to see the blonde woman has already written 43. He wonders how a fighter could be so good at math. The proctor announces that the midterm is over and most students passed. However, one student failed and must attend night class. A random student jumps from his seat in terror, screaming that he refuses to go to the remedial lesson. He makes a desperate dash for the classroom door, shouting for help and begging not to be taken to the night class. The proctor simply turns its head and fires a green beam of light from its mouth toward the fleeing student. The beam pierces the student's back, causing him to cry out in agony as the energy surges through his body. His eyes widen in horror as he screams, coughing up blood from the force of the devastating attack. The monstrous head complains about students who fail and refuse remedial lessons, calling them the worst class he has ever taught. Back at their desks, the youth's companion breathes a sigh of relief, grateful that their group managed to pass the test. But the proctor's eyes glow red with anger. It announces that it discovered someone was cheating during the exam. The young man's companion looks up with a terrified expression, realizing the monstrous creature is staring directly at them. Surrounded by bloody handprints, the creature snarls that cheating is unforgivable. It orders the three of them to attend night class. The white-haired youth shouts in defiance, firing an orange energy blast. The woman beside him unleashes a red energy slash. The youth's projectile strikes the monster's head with a bright flash of light, hitting it squarely on the cheek. The creature recoils, letting out a furious scream as it is struck by their coordinated attack. Standing his ground, the youth tells the others to run while the woman notes he is using a powerful pseudo-divine weapon. His companion rushes to the classroom door and desperately tries to open it, shouting that it is sealed shut. The blonde woman tells him to get out of the way, announcing that she will take care of the door herself. She stomps her foot on the ground, channeling her strength for a powerful strike that cracks the floor beneath her. With incredible force, she launches a high kick that completely shatters the wooden door, sending splinters flying. A large fragment of the broken door soars down the empty, dark hallway, a testament to her immense power. After breaking through, she lands gracefully and catches her breath, having cleared a path for their escape. Her raw strength leaves the young man's companion completely speechless and staring in utter disbelief. She turns back and snaps at the two of them, telling them to stop standing around and to get moving immediately. The three of them sprint down the hall as the enraged proctor's voice echoes, furious that his students dared to defy him. Back in the classroom, the enraged proctor vows that it will capture the students who dared to escape its lesson. Having made it to safety, the youth's companion catches his breath, relieved that the monster did not chase them out of the classroom. The white-haired young man turns to the woman, curiously asking if her special talent is concentrated in her legs. With a confident smirk, she poses and asks him if he would like to touch them to find out for himself. He stares at her with a deadpan expression, remaining completely silent in response to her suggestive offer. Just then, Director Liang rushes down the hall toward them, demanding to know what the three of them were doing. The companion looks up in alarm, realizing the dean has come to confront them about the disturbance they caused. The director angrily scolds them, stating that he does not care about their investigation, but they cannot disrupt the school's order. The blonde woman calmly apologizes on their behalf, explaining that they were simply in a hurry to uncover the truth. He continues his lecture, telling them to investigate at night and to leave the students alone during the day, warning them not to repeat this. The white-haired youth glares, his expression tense as he listens to the dean's angry reprimand. At that moment, his hint ability activates. It reveals the dean is a liar, but also the only human teacher, suggesting they ask him how he's still alive. A small smile appears on the youth's face as he notes that this new hint about the director is quite interesting. The blonde woman looks at the dean and assures him that there will not be a next time, hoping to end the conversation. The director's demeanor suddenly changes. He smiles and says he is not unreasonable, asking them to apologize to the teacher. His companion is shocked by the request, questioning why they would have to go back and apologize to that monster. The calmly replies that it is only natural to apologize after making a mistake. The white-haired youth points out the real problem, reminding him that the teacher in that classroom is anything but normal. The director warns them that the teacher is furious and that they must face the consequences if they refuse to go back. The blonde woman's expression hardens as she tells the director that he is making things very difficult for them. The director scoffs, saying he has seen many investigators, but none have ever dared to defy his authority. He then gives them an ultimatum, declaring that they must apologize or he will not be held responsible for what happens next. Having heard enough, the white-haired youth shouts defiantly and leaps toward the director with his hammer raised. He strikes the man with a heavy blow, sending the director stumbling backward from the unexpected attack. His two companions watch in utter disbelief, completely stunned by his sudden and violent actions against the dean. Lying on the floor, the director angrily asks the youth what he thinks he is doing. The blonde woman rushes forward, calling him crazy and questioning why he would attack the director. The young man calmly tells her not to worry, assuring her that the man on the floor is just a human. He then follows up with a powerful kick, sending the director flying further down the school hallway. While tumbling through the air, the director shouts that the young man will pay a high price for his impulsiveness. The youth stands ready, retorting that he would like to see just what that price will be. The other two remain stunned, watching the confrontation unfold without knowing how to intervene. His companion yells at them to stop, warning that if they continue fighting, someone is going to end up dead. The warrior pauses his assault, looks down at the beaten man, and says it is time for him to answer some questions. The director reluctantly admits defeat, complaining that no one has ever treated him so crudely before. Holding his weapon, the youth asks what happened to all the other human teachers at the school. From his position on the floor, the director quickly answers that all of them resigned and left. However, a system hint immediately appears, informing the youth that the director is not telling the truth. With a cold expression, the young man steps forward with his knife in hand, demanding to hear the real story. He pins the director to the floor with his foot, but the man insists he is telling the truth, claiming the teachers left out of fear. The youth hovers over the director with his hammer, threatening to see whether the man's mouth or his weapon is tougher. He brings the weapon down hard, striking another powerful blow to break the man's stubborn silence. Cowering with his glasses shattered, the director finally gives in. He screams for him to stop and confesses that the other teachers are all dead. The young man pauses his attack and calmly asks how they died, his companion watching from the side. With a look of terror, the director explains that they were all killed by the strange and powerful beings that inhabit the school. The hero then asks the obvious question: if all the others are dead, why is he still alive? Lying on the floor, the battered man nervously claims that he survived simply by being more careful than the others. The young warrior sees through the lie and asks if he has been helping the monsters this whole time. The director frantically denies the accusation, waving his hands and insisting that he would never do such a thing. But the youth's hint system activates again, confirming that the unrepentant man is lying once more. Cornered, the director finally breaks down, begging for his life and admitting he only did it to protect himself. He confesses that the monsters forced him to help them kill the other teachers, threatening to kill him if he refused. He insists that the true culprits are the school's monsters, and that he was just a victim, forced into a terrible situation. The blonde woman remarks that if they had followed him back to the classroom, the consequences would have been unimaginable. The white-haired youth moves on to his second question, demanding to know the whereabouts of the missing student, Wang Yi-chen. A hint reveals that while the director is terrified by the question, his answer that he doesn't know is actually the truth. The woman urges the youth to press him further, convinced he must be lying about such a critical piece of information. He turns to her and clarifies that the director truly does not know the answer to that particular question. Changing his approach, he asks if there was anything special about Wang Yi-chen, but the director claims the student's file is classified. The director explains that his clearance level is too low to access that information, suggesting they ask the school's headmaster instead. A new hint warns the youth that while the director isn't lying, he is setting a trap for them, because asking the headmaster means certain death. Enraged by the deception, he launches himself forward and delivers a brutal punch to the man's gut. The director falls to the floor again, crying out in pain and confusion, insisting he was telling the truth this time. The young warrior glares down at him and clarifies that he did not hit him for lying. Confused, the battered man asks why he hit him then, his face swollen and bleeding from the previous attacks. The hero coldly replies that it was simply because he felt like it, showing no remorse for his actions. Suddenly, a strange, dark fog begins to creep down the hallway, obscuring the path ahead of them. His companion looks around in alarm, noting how quickly it has gotten dark and that a thick fog is rolling in. The youth's hint system activates, identifying it as a deadly fog that only appears at night. It suggests running as far away as possible. The blonde woman senses the danger as well, confirming that the fog has a strange aura and is not natural. The director crawls on the floor in terror, screaming that it is the killing fog and that it is extremely dangerous. The woman warns the others that the fog is approaching them and that they need to retreat immediately. The director scrambles to his feet, agreeing that they should leave as quickly as possible. But just as he is about to flee, the white-haired youth orders him to stop, asking if he gave him permission to leave. The man turns in shock, wondering if he is crazy for wanting to stay and wait for death to arrive. The young warrior readies his weapon, a pair of pickaxes connected by a chain. He swings the weapon with incredible speed and precision, striking the director's leg and crippling him. The man's eyes widen in agony as the weapon tears through his leg, causing immense pain. He collapses to the floor, clutching his bleeding leg and screaming in agony from the brutal injury. He looks down at him without a shred of pity, telling him to wait there for death while the rest of the group leaves. The three investigators flee down the hallway, leaving the crippled director behind to face the encroaching fog alone. Left behind, the director curses at them for their betrayal and begs for them not to leave him to die. As they run, the white-haired youth declares that a man like that deserves to die for repeatedly trying to harm them. Suddenly, his companion looks back and shouts that he sees something moving within the dense, dark fog. The hero quickly turns, his weapon ready, and sees a strange figure carrying a body through the mist. The blonde woman recognizes the figure as a boy and wonders if it could be the missing student, Wang Yi-chen. Focusing his power, the young man activates his special ability to try and get a hint about the mysterious figure. However, he realizes the boy is too far away and deep within the fog for his ability to provide any information. The boy in the fog turns his head, a grotesque smile on his face with glowing red eyes and blood dripping from his mouth. The woman gasps, realizing the terrifying creature has noticed their presence. The hero quickly tells his companions to turn back and run, not wanting to confront the unknown monster. The three of them sprint through the dark, eerie hallways, trying to get as far away from the fog as possible. They finally make it back to the dorm room, where the rest of their group expresses relief at their safe return. The youth's companion pants for breath, frantically telling the others to shut the door, because something is chasing them. One of the men peers out into the hallway and sees a small, shadowy figure standing in the distance. Just as he slams the door shut, a bloody handprint appears on the outside, showing how close the creature was. The man stumbles back in fear, trembling as he asks what that horrifying thing could have been. The white-haired youth explains that the man-eating boy in the fog is likely the missing student, Wang Yichen. The muscular man is skeptical, but agrees that even if it is not him, the boy is definitely connected to the case. Our hero then turns to the others and asks if they managed to find any clues during their own investigation. The woman in the suit shares her findings, explaining that many students only attend classes at night. The youth's companion realizes this means the monster's remedial lessons are just forcing students to attend night school. With a thoughtful expression, the hero considers that if this is true, then many important clues can only be found at night. The blonde woman voices her concern, reminding everyone that going out at night is extremely dangerous with the deadly fog. The orange-haired man agrees, adding that as time passes, the school will only become more dangerous, with monsters appearing even during the day. Suddenly, one of the men peeking out the door announces that the dark fog has finally disappeared. The woman in the suit tells everyone to get some rest, deciding they will have to take the risk if they find no new leads by morning. Later that night, the young warrior sits on his bunk, unable to sleep, while his companion asks why he is still awake. He looks down from the top bunk and curiously asks who he could possibly be waiting for at this hour. The white-haired youth looks toward the door with a serious expression, announcing that his guest has just arrived. He stares intently at the door as a soft, scraping sound can be heard from the other side. A moment later, a small, golden talisman is slipped under the door and slides into their room. His friend whispers from above, pointing out that there is someone standing right outside their door. The young warrior raises a finger to his lips, silently telling his companion to stay quiet and not make a sound. After a few tense moments, the person outside seems to have left, and the companion says the coast is clear. The hero immediately gets up and tells his friend that they need to change rooms right away. In their new room, the companion points to the talisman on the floor and asks what it is. The youth explains that it is a luring charm, a special item used to attract dangerous monsters. His friend is horrified, realizing someone intentionally planted the charm to get them killed by the school's creatures. The young warrior vows that whoever is responsible will pay for their actions. The next morning, the sun rises over the school, marking the beginning of the second day of their investigation. The group gathers in the dorm hallway, with one member noting they heard knocking again, but were safe as long as they did not open the door. The girl in the pink dress wonders why the white-haired youth and his companion have not joined them yet. The woman in the suit tells the others not to wait, wanting to avoid wasting any more precious time. The blonde woman, however, expresses her concern. She knows the youth is reliable and would not be late without a good reason. The orange-haired man dismisses her worries, reminding her that everyone knows the rules and that nothing could have happened to them. The muscular man decides he cannot wait any longer and declares that he is going to check on them himself. He approaches their room and reaches for the doorknob, but pauses as he notices something is wrong. After opening the door and seeing the empty room, he stumbles back in shock, unable to believe his eyes. The others rush over to see what happened, asking him what is wrong and why he looks so stunned. He nervously stammers that the two of them are gone, leaving the room completely empty. The group is confused by this discovery, wondering where the two could have possibly gone so early. Just then, a voice calls out from down the hall as the young warrior and his companion appear. announcing their presence. The orange-haired man is surprised to see them and immediately asks why they changed rooms without telling anyone. The youth's companion explains that if they had not switched rooms, they would have been dead by morning. The blonde woman looks at them with a serious expression, asking what happened and why they were in such danger. The hero points a finger directly at the muscular man, telling the group to ask him for the answer. The muscular man feigns ignorance, asking why he is being questioned and claiming he has nothing to do with it. Unconvinced, the young warrior tightens his grip on his knife, his knuckles turning white as he prepares for a confrontation. He lunges forward and strikes the man across the face with the hilt of his weapon, telling him to stop pretending. The muscular man recoils in pain, his face bruised as he angrily questions how the youth dares to strike him. The woman in the suit quickly steps between them, urging the hero to calm down and explain the situation clearly first. The young warrior ignores her plea and stares coldly at the man, demanding that he hand over the luring charm immediately. The orange-haired man looks confused, asking what alluring charm is and pointing out that such evil items are forbidden. Clutching his bruised face, the accused man continues to deny everything, claiming he has no idea what they are talking about. The hero explains how he plants the charm to attract monsters, killing teammates who have no chance to escape. Just like the man from the first night, the muscular man grits his teeth, demanding proof and dismissing the entire story as a baseless accusation. The youth reveals that he was the first to check the rooms both days, giving him the perfect opportunity to plant and retrieve the charm unnoticed. He calls the story of fabrication, and the woman in the suit agrees, warning the youth she will not let this go without solid proof. The young warrior then turns to his companion, confidently telling him to bring out the evidence they gathered. His friend smirks, revealing that they were prepared for his betrayal all along. He then retrieves a hidden phone, explaining that they had been recording the room and all of his movements. The traitor's face drains of color as he realizes his treacherous actions have been exposed, leaving him with no way to deny it. The white-haired youth looks at him and asks if he has any more excuses left to make. The woman in the suit is furious, calling him insane for trying to kill his own teammates in such a dangerous mission. The man still cannot understand how he was discovered, believing he had been perfectly careful and left no clues behind. The hero tells him he can keep wondering as he lunges forward with his knife, ready to deliver justice. But the traitor roars, his body transforming into a massive, muscular werewolf enveloped in a dark purple aura. The youth meets the creature's powerful punch with his knife, the clash of steel and brute force creating a shockwave. The werewolf's immense strength sends warrior flying backward, but he manages to land on his feet, ready for a fight. The orange-haired man warns the others to be careful, identifying the werewolf's ability as a transformation talent. The blonde woman joins the fight, leaping into the air with a powerful kick aimed directly at the monster's head. She lands a solid blow to the werewolf's face, staggering the creature with the force of her attack. She screams at the girl in pink, calling for her snake to attack and finish the beast off. The young girl summons her giant green snake, which lunges forward with its fangs bared, ready to strike. The massive serpent coils itself around the werewolf, constricting its body and biting down on its shoulder as it cries out for mercy. With the traitor subdued, the young warrior asks him why he betrayed the group and tried to kill them all. The man, now back in his human form, agrees to talk but warns them that they are better off not knowing the truth. The orange-haired man grows impatient, telling him to stop wasting time and to just spit it out already. He confesses that he read a guide online which claimed that the mission becomes easier if only one player is left alive. The orange-haired man is shocked by this revelation, struggling to believe such a ridiculous strategy could be true. The woman in the suit quickly dismisses the claim, warning the others not to believe it, or they will all end up killing each other. The captured man desperately begs for his life, promising to atone for his sins if they spare him. The woman in the suit scoffs at his plea, telling him he is dreaming if he thinks they will let him live after what he did. The orange-haired man agrees, declaring that a person like him deserves to be killed for his betrayal. The white-haired youth smirks, offering to take care of the traitor and put him to good use. Later, as the group walks through the school grounds, the blonde woman asks why he is keeping the man alive. He explains with a sly grin that he plans to use the traitor as bait to lure out the mysterious boy from the fog. She offers her assistance, asking if there is anything she can do to help him with his plan. He looks at her with a surprised expression, remarking that it is not like her to offer help so willingly. She tells him to stop talking nonsense, explaining that she sees his potential and believes he is their best hope for clearing the mission. With a smirk, he agrees to her offer and asks her to investigate the school's headmaster for him. She accepts the task and tells him to be careful before turning to leave, waving goodbye as she walks away. The young man then turns to his companion, instructing him to watch over the traitor until he returns. He heads to the school's cafeteria, where he finds the student he questioned earlier sitting alone at a table. He slams his small hammer down on the table, the sharp sound echoing through the empty room as he gets the student's attention. The hero greets him with a casual smile, commenting on what a coincidence it is to see him again. The student jumps in his seat, startled and nervous as he asks why the white-haired youth has come to find him again. With a calm but firm tone, the hero orders the student to sit down, tapping his hammer on the table for emphasis. He tells the student that he has not finished answering his questions from their last encounter, specifically about how Wang Yi-chen disappeared. The student glares at him, reminding him that he was warned not to come looking for him again and vowing not to say a word. The young warrior taps his hammer on the table again, the sharp sound cutting through the silence of the cafeteria. He calmly explains that while he can be reasonable, he also knows how to get answers if the student refuses to cooperate. The student nervously agrees to talk, but only if the youth promises that this will be the last time they ever speak. A hint appears, revealing that the student is determined and will not back down from his ultimatum. The hero nods in agreement, promising that this will be the final time he bothers him for information. With a heavy sigh, the student finally reveals a shocking truth. Wang Yi-chen took his own life. The young man is stunned, demanding to know what taking his own life has to do with him going missing. The student clarifies that after he died, his body disappeared, but he has no idea where it could have gone. The hero then asks the most important question, wanting to know why the student would do such a thing in the first place. He explains that the student was a loner, bullied by classmates and disliked by teachers, and eventually gave up hope. The white-haired youth looks at him intently and asks what his relationship was with the missing student. The student explains that they were just meal buddies, as both of them used to eat alone in the cafeteria. He adds that they would eat together at this very table, with the missing student always sitting right where the hero is now. Hearing this, the young man looks down at his seat, a thoughtful expression on his face as he processes the new information. He notices the number 15 carved into the table where he is sitting, clearly left behind by someone. He wonders if the missing student was the one who carved the number into the table and what it could possibly mean. Suddenly, a large man in a chef's uniform is sent flying into the room, crashing to the floor with a loud thud. The chef gets up angrily, demanding to know who dared to attack him, and threatening to report them to the headmaster. A hint warns the hero that the chef is a dangerous monster, and that it is best not to provoke him, or he will go on a rampage. Two other investigators enter the room, with one offering to deal with the stubborn monster for his companion. The white-haired youth quickly steps in, shouting for them to stop and not to attack the chef. He warns them not to provoke the monster, explaining that it will be much harder to control if they make him angry. But the man with purple hair dismisses him, telling him to mind his own business and stay out of their way. He kicks the chef to the ground, accusing him of trying to poison them by putting drugs in their food. The chef frantically denies the accusation, holding up a bottle and explaining that it is a supplement from the headmaster. A hint reveals that the supplement is a dangerous drug that greatly amplifies a student's mental fluctuations when stimulated. The hero wonders what the headmaster's true purpose could be for giving such a dangerous drug to the students. The two men decide to continue their interrogation, hoping to get more information about the missing student from the chef. He so interrupts them, asking where they have been spending their nights for the past 2 days. The man scoffs, telling the hero he already missed his chance to join them, and that it will not be so easy now. His purple-haired companion boasts that his leader's talent allows him to find perfectly safe spots, making their nights comfortable. To prove their point, he stabs the chef in the leg, showing no fear of the monster's potential rampage. The leader then turns to the hero and asks if he has any useful clues to share with them. He quickly adds that he has no intention of sharing anything, declaring that he will clear this mission all by himself. The white-haired youth reminds him that time is running out and that sharing information would benefit everyone. The man laughs, saying it would only benefit them, as he has no need for any of their clues. He then offers to take the hero under his wing, but only if he swears loyalty and becomes his servant. The young warrior simply scoffs at the ridiculous offer, turning his back on the arrogant leader. The man is taken aback by the blatant disrespect, demanding to know what he just said. The hero explains that this monster will not talk unless he is properly motivated, suggesting a more forceful approach. The arrogant leader smirks, acting as if he already knew that and did not need to be told. He then orders his companion to cut off the chef's hand if he still refuses to cooperate. The purple-haired man grins, assuring his leader that he is a professional when it comes to cutting off hands. He pins the chef's hand to the floor and drives his knife through it, pinning him to the ground. The chef's eyes glow red with fury as he roars in pain and rage, his patience finally broken. The purple-haired man is unfazed, taunting the enraged monster and vowing to end his life. But the chef grabs the man's wrist with incredible strength, stopping the knife just inches from his throat. The chef's body begins to transform, growing larger and more demonic as a dark aura surrounds him. He completes his transformation into a massive, horned beast. The purple-haired man looks on in horror, shocked by the monster's sudden and terrifying transformation. He is lifted into the air by the beast, desperately crying out for his leader to save him from the creature's grasp. The monster slams him into the ground with incredible force, leaving him battered and bruised on the floor. The arrogant leader faces the enraged beast, calling it a foolish monster for daring to challenge him. He leaps forward, delivering a powerful punch to the creature's jaw, but it barely seems to faze the massive monster. The beast retaliates with a punch of its own, sending the man flying backward with its immense strength. He manages to land on his feet, creating several sharp projectiles of energy to counter the monster's assault. The white-haired youth watches from the side, commenting on how foolish the man is and how he deserves whatever is coming to him. A hint appears revealing that the bull-headed monster's only weakness is its horns, and that trying to restrain it is pointless. The creature takes a heavy step forward, its eyes glowing with rage as it prepares to continue its rampage. The purple-haired man gets back on his feet, nervously asking his leader what they should do against such a powerful foe. The leader smirks, revealing a long, red tentacle-like item and telling his companion not to worry, as he brought a special weapon. He throws the item forward, commanding it to restrain the beast and end the fight quickly. The tentacle wraps itself around the monster, binding its arms and body and seemingly immobilizing it. With the creature captured, the leader confidently declares that the situation is under control and that the monster is theirs to deal with. The purple-haired man grins maliciously, vowing to cut off the monster's head as revenge for the earlier humiliation. But the beast roars, its muscles bulging as it begins to flex and strain against the magical bindings. Tentacle snaps under the immense pressure, freeing the monster and sending pieces of it flying through the air. The purple-haired man stares in disbelief, completely stunned that the creature was able to break free so easily. The arrogant leader is equally shocked, wondering what kind of incredible power the monster possesses to break his weapon. Realizing they are outmatched, the leader shouts for his companion to run, abandoning any hope of defeating the monster. The enraged beast roars, raising its fists as it prepares to chase down the fleeing investigators. The two men run for their lives, but the leader knows they will not be able to outrun the powerful creature. His companion desperately calls out to him, begging for help and reminding him of his loyalty. But the leader admits that the monster is far stronger than he anticipated, and that there is nothing he can do to stop it. Suddenly, the purple-haired man throws a weapon, shouting that his leader must have a plan to defeat the beast. The thrown weapon, a small axe, embeds itself in the leader's leg, causing him to cry out in pain. The man falls to the ground, betrayed by his own subordinate, as the monster closes in on him. He looks up in disbelief, cursing his companion for his treacherous and cowardly act. The man smirks, praising his leader's strength and telling him that the monster should be no problem for him to handle alone. He then makes his escape, leaving his former leader to face the enraged beast on his own. The monster catches up to the injured man and delivers a powerful blow, sending him flying across the room. He lands hard on the floor, his body battered and bruised from the devastating attack. Lying on the ground, he desperately begs the white-haired youth for help, offering to make him his subordinate for free. The hero simply looks at him with disgust, calling him a fool for his arrogance and selfishness. The monster roars, preparing to deliver the final blow, and declaring that everyone in the room must die. The man's face pales with terror, realizing that his life is about to come to a brutal and violent end. But just as the beast is about to attack, the young warrior picks up a nearby basketball, a determined look on his face. He throws the ball with incredible force and precision, sending it flying toward the monster like a cannonball. The basketball strikes the monster squarely on the horn, its only weak point, causing it to cry out in pain. The monster collapses to the floor, stunned and disoriented by the unexpected and painful blow. The hero smirks, noting that the basketball's special property makes it a guaranteed hit, a law that even this powerful monster cannot avoid. The arrogant leader gets back on his feet, praising the youth for his impressive move and demanding to be carried to safety. But the young warrior simply kicks him away, sending him flying across the room with a powerful and dismissive strike. The monster slowly gets back up, its eyes burning with rage as it glares at the human who dared to harm it. The hero meets the beast's charge, his knife clashing against its tough hide in a flurry of sparks. The creature taunts him, claiming that a foolish human like him could never hope to break through its tough defenses. But as it speaks, a large chunk of its horn breaks off and falls to the floor, shattering into pieces. The monster looks on in disbelief, shocked that the young warrior was able to discover and exploit its only weakness. The hero presses his advantage, unleashing a powerful upward slash that cuts clean through the monster's remaining horn. He lands and looks back at the beast, calmly asking if it is ready to behave now. The creature roars in fury, unable to accept that a mere human could have defeated it so easily. The young man unleashes a relentless barrage of punches, striking the monster's face over and over with brutal force. A hint reveals that the beast is barely alive, but that it seems to be carrying something valuable. The arrogant leader watches from the side, his face pale with fear and sweat dripping from his brow. He is completely terrified by the hero's ruthless display, watching as he beats the monster into a bloody pulp. The youth finally stops his assault and asks the defeated monster if it is ready to be honest now. The beast, now completely subdued, nods its head and begs for him to spare its life. The young warrior then turns his attention to the arrogant leader, a cold and menacing look in his eyes. The man trembles in fear, quickly raising his hands and stammering that he will be honest as well. The hero orders the arrogant man to come over and search the defeated monster's body. The man is hesitant, telling the youth to help him watch the beast in case it still has some fight left in it. The hero hits him on the back of the head, telling him to stop making excuses and just do as he is told. The man quickly agrees, begging him to calm down and saying he will go search the monster immediately. He cautiously approaches the beast, grumbling about how violent the young warrior is and how he cannot afford to anger him. After a brief search, he announces that he has found something, holding up a small, blue book. The white-haired youth looks at the object, questioning why the monster would be carrying a book. The man's eyes widen in shock as he realizes it is not just any book, but an incredibly rare and valuable skill book. The young warrior takes the book from him, his expression intrigued by the unexpected discovery. The man explains that skill books are extremely rare, with a 1 in 10,000 chance of appearing, and are nearly impossible to open. His eyes sparkle with excitement as he realizes how lucky they were to find such a valuable item. He eagerly offers to buy the book from the hero, telling him to name his price, no matter how high, but the young man simply pushes him away, stating firmly that the skill book is not for sale. He opens the book and reads its contents, learning that it teaches the skill of cooking various dishes that monsters love to eat. He is disappointed, realizing the book will teach him to be a chef who specializes in cooking for monsters. Despite his disappointment, he decides to learn the skill, as a bright blue aura surrounds him and the book. He smirks, figuring there is no harm in learning a new skill, especially one that could be useful in their current situation. He then kneels beside the defeated monster and holds up the ornate key he found earlier, asking if the beast recognizes it. The monster reveals that the key opens the safe in the headmaster's office, confirming the hero's suspicions. The young man looks at the key, a sense of satisfaction on his face, as he finally understands its true purpose. A hint appears, confirming that the hero has squeezed the monster dry of all its value, and that it no longer has any useful information to offer.